Welcome to the Jeff Canada Show. But if you're going to get your feelings hurt, you might need to turn this shit off.
I'm sorry that it took so long to get an episode out there to you. It's been, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. I've been moving into a new house, and then I had to move into a new studio because I lost an extra bedroom in my house. So now I'm in my new studio, and it's all set up and ready to go. So I did my first interview yesterday. That was going to come out here in a few weeks. It's just been a crazy last few weeks. I mean, I've also played, I did like 12 shows in 11 days. So I'm sorry that I haven't got one out to you guys, but I'm doing it all myself, and it's just a lot of work. So please bear with me, and I'll get them out to you as soon as I can. I know that a lot of you people really like them, and so they're coming out. They're coming out more frequently. I think I'm going to start doing 2 a week. I'm going to try, but we'll see what happens. But this episode came out, so we'll see what happens on the next one. I just want to talk about where I'm going to be this week. Thursday, I'm going to be back out at Bullet Grill House in Point Blank, Texas. I start at 6 o'clock. I'm playing for some bicycle event that they have there where they do a big bike ride, and that's like the halfway point, and they all stop there or something like that. I don't know. But I'll be there at 6 o'clock. Friday night is going to be rad as fuck. I got my buddy Justin Biltonen coming into town from Nashville. He's the bass player for Three Doors Down. Him and I are going to be doing a song swap at Henry's Hideout in Plantersville, Texas. We start at 8. We go to 11. We're just going to be up there talking shit and playing some songs for you guys. He's super talented. It's going to be a really good time. So if you guys come out to Henry's Hideout, we play 8 to 11. Henry's Hideout just opened back up. It's out in Plantersville, Texas. It's the horniest place in Texas. It's got a bunch of deer horns and shit in there. It's really rad. It's a rad place. My good buddy Zach United is the house DJ there, so he'll be hanging out with us. You know him from K-Star. Also, he was on this podcast one time. So y'all come check that out. Then Saturday's the big one. Saturday is going to be the Montgomery Bud Bugs Festival put on by Charlie Diggs. It's always my favorite festival of the year. We have such a great time out there. This year, we're doing things a little bit different. On the main stage, you got Jason Michael Carroll, Wayne Toops, Dylan Wheeler, and then Randy Rogers Band. So Randy Rogers Band is my last bucket list Texas artist that I had that for me to share the stage with, so I'm super stoked about that, even though technically I won't be sharing the stage because I'm going to be on the side stage. But here's the cool part. Charlie set us up where we're going to be on the side stage. We're playing a 45-minute set before Dylan Wheeler, and then we're playing a 30-minute set before Randy Rogers. So we're actually getting to play late night with the big crowd, and it should be a really good time. We got a cool couple set lists put together for you guys where we're going to rock out and just have a great time. Then Sunday, I'm going over to the new Tire Link location over off 2920 in Spring, Texas. It's a brand new spot. They're opening up, and I'm playing their grand opening. The grand opening is 12 to 4. I think I'm going to play 2 at 2 o'clock. Y'all come out there and hang out. I think they're doing like free rotations and stuff if you bring your car out there. I don't know. So that's what's coming on this week. Again, Thursday, Bullet Grill House Point Blank. Friday, Henry's Hideout with Justin Biltonen. Saturday, Montgomery Mudbugs. I play at 5:30 and 7:45. I think those are the times. Anyway, but 5:30 for sure. I know 5:30 is our first set, and it'll be a 45-minute set. And then Tire Link on Sunday. And then I wanted to talk, the thing I wanted to talk about today is negativity versus positivity. And, it's come to my attention that some people think that I'm too negative or overly critical. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that because if that's what you see from me, then that's what you're focusing on because you're not looking at all the positive stuff that I post. So is it me being too negative or is it you seeing all the negative stuff? Also, where I come from, calling things out that need to change is not a negative thing. I mean, it's a negative thing if you're somebody that's stuck in the old ways of doing things and you don't want to change. But if you're not that, it's a very positive thing to talk about ways we can make things better. I don't understand why anytime we talk about change, it's met with such drastic just fight. A new chart comes out and everybody freaks the fuck out or just whatever. There's nothing wrong with change, and there's nothing wrong with calling out the industry on things that need to change. There's a lot of people that are stuck in the old ways of doing things, and we're not in that world anymore. Y'all need to wake the fuck up. We're not in that world anymore. We're in a digital social media age. We're in a Spotify age. And tickets are going up at shows because artists aren't making money on their art anymore. And so they have to charge more to play shows, and then and then that's just the way the fucking world works. And you have to either embrace it and change with it and find ways for you to come out on top, or you just have to, or you're just going to be stuck in the past. And I don't want to be stuck in the past. I want to move to the future, and I want to build better things, and I want to build better industries. And that's just what I want. I don't want to be stuck in the past when it comes to some things. Now, some things in the past need to stay where they're at, male and female, for example. We'll just leave it where it's at. I'm not anti-trans at all, transition, but there's male and female, and I'm not. That's it. I'm not going to get into it further than that. But I'm just saying I'm conservative and not really progressive when it comes to certain things, but I'm also extremely progressive when it comes to other things, and I'm not going to apologize for that. And that doesn't make me a transphobe or a homophobe. Someone disagreeing with you does not make them a bad person. You're allowed to think whatever you want to think, and you're allowed to vocalize that. And yes, people are allowed to vocalize back, but it's just getting to the point now where it's just nonstop fighting. It's fighting over bullshit. So the way I look at it is, I'm not near as negative as I used to be. I used to be a huge negative Nancy. My friends used to call me Grumpy Cat. I'm not that way anymore, man. I'm really seeing the world in a very positive light, and I'm seeing this industry in a very positive light. And I want it to be better. And I don't think there's anything wrong whatsoever with wanting things to be better. I understand that a lot of you make a lot of money in the old way. I get it. I understand. Not to jump on Texas radio again, but 10 years ago, if you got a number one in Texas, it mattered. Now, if you get a number one in Texas, it doesn't matter. It gives you something to share on social media, and it helps a little bit, but it doesn't help $5,000 worth or $10,000 worth. It just doesn't. It's not the same industry as what it was 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. We're in a total different place now. And we got to figure out a way to where we can put our money in the right places for the maximum gain. Again, there's nothing wrong with anyone saying that. I can say that. I don't understand why anyone would want to argue or fight or unfollow me or hate me because I say things like that. I'm not talking shit about other musicians. I'm not talking shit about anything other than the old way of doing things. That's it. And I don't understand it. And so I'm really trying to be positive. Every day I post something positive about another artist. But that's not what y'all see. That's not what y'all hang your hats on. You hang your hats on me bitching about radio or me bitching about taxes or me. You hang on to the negative stuff and you don't hang on to the positive stuff. We've got to change our mindset to start letting positive things impact us as much more so than the negative things. If you're constantly being impacted by negative things, that is called being a victim, and you're being a victim. And if you can't handle someone disagreeing with you, then you're a victim. And you got to get out of that, or you're just going to be fighting people all the time. I know people on the internet that feel attacked all the time. I'm always attacked. Let's just be attacked. Somebody wrote a post on Facebook that says you shouldn't use iPads on stage, and everybody just feels attacked and unfollows people and gets mad and it's like, golly, man, that's a you thing. That's not a them thing. We should be able to say simple things like I've voted for Trump, and I'm not the fucking idiot. I'm not the villain. Or I voted for Biden, and I'm not the villain. I'm the idiot. Or whatever the case, man. We're not the enemy. We're all American people, and we're all just trying to do our thing. We're all just trying to get better. Are there some fucking wackos out there? Absolutely, but the wackos are not the norm, and you guys treat everything like the wackos are the norm. They're just not. They're not the norm. The fringes are not the norm. The KKK is not the norm. Most people aren't racist like that. Most people aren't going out and killing their babies with abortions. Most people aren't doing that. So it's like everybody's getting mad about the fringe people or the minority of people. Let's focus on the positive shit. Let's focus on stuff that's making the country better. I wish we could do that. I really wish we could do that, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. All I know is that with this podcast, I like to have conversations about it. And then if you get upset about something I say on this podcast and you unfollow me, I don't want you as a follower anyway, because you're a victim. So go away. Go somewhere else. Go follow somebody else. But if you're, if you're strong in your values and you want to have a conversation with me about it, or you want to argue with me about it, that's cool. I'm down with that. But this whole fucking thinking anyone's the enemy because they disagree with you has got to stop. It's got to stop. We're all the American people. We're all American people. All of us. Every single one of us are American people. So let's just get back to just being Americans first. Can we get back to being Americans first and solving the big problems? We don't solve shit anymore. We just fight and argue and complain about bullshit. But if we would start acting like Americans again and start looking at things as challenges instead of problems, and start looking for solutions instead of bitching and moaning and complaining. Why can't we do that? So, anyway, on this episode of the podcast, I got my buddy Nate Burnham. Nate is, he's actually from Kingwood, but he lives up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Super, super cool guy. He loves to hunt, loves to fish, loves baseball. And he's a great songwriter, great entertainer, man. He's killing it. He's a good buddy of mine, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Y'all check out NateBurnham.com for all his stuff. Here we go, Nate Burnham. Let's do it.
All right, we're now recording, bro.
We're here.
Are you happy?
I'm so happy.
Are you excited?
Yeah. This is a good setup. You got water, you got knives, you got swords and stuff over here. I feel like this is
dude.
Like we can talk shop and I can play with knives. Like this is already turning out to be like a great decision.
Yeah, dude. Like that flag over there was my grandpa's. That was his casket flag.
Oh wow.
And he was in World War II.
Where at?
I'm not really sure. Well, Indochina, I guess Pacific. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Indochina. Yeah, he was a mailman actually.
Okay.
In the Army, but he saw a lot of active duty. Like, just because you're a mailman back then.
Yeah.
You were just a mailman.
Yeah.
So, my dad actually gave that to me for Christmas a couple years ago. He was kind of giving away everything.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm a World War II nerd. Like
me too.
my brother got married in France, so I went a couple days early so I could tour Normandy and do all the Normandy beaches and
That's awesome.
get all
dude.
that sort of stuff. And so that's super cool. Both my grandpas were in the Korean War, so they weren't the World War II guys, but my grandpa Burnham was a telephone pole lineman, and then my other grandpa was a spy. Basically, he worked in like he was in the Navy, but he was never on a ship. He's always stationed somewhere working on the decoding machines that they translate come through here, and then they'd whatever, and it would go off. So
Intel stuff.
yeah, he was a spy.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really cool to think back of that. I wish, I know that with social media and the internet and everything that's been developed over the last 20, 30 years, now we're able to keep records of a lot of stuff, and you're able to find a lot of stuff. I wish there was a better way you could go back and really, because like my last name, our name used to be Canaday, Canaday.
Okay.
I think this is what I heard.
Yeah.
And then my great grandfather, whatever, was in the Civil War. He was part of the Mississippi militia.
Nice.
And then I found his desertion papers.
Oh wow.
But it's dated like a year after the war was over. So he was one of the guys that left the Confederate Army, even though a lot of the militias were still trying to keep it going.
Right. Yeah.
So apparently he killed a guy in Mississippi and moved to Arkansas and changed and dropped the Y, and that's how it became Canada.
All right.
I did find the desertion papers, but that's the only proof I have of that story. So I don't really know. I mean, it's a cool story. So
That's way cool.
yeah, maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Right. I mean, so it was like 1866 or something. Like
I can't remember exactly. I think it was like a year after the Civil War ended. So probably
crazy,
1866. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew Mississippi they held a grudge for a long time.
Yeah.
But I didn't
And
know.
I think some of them are still holding grudges.
Yeah, right. That's the truth. Some of them still. I heard like Vicksburg didn't celebrate the 4th of July for like 150 years. You know?
That's nuts, dude.
So
it's crazy, the whole Confederate flag thing. Not to get political, but it's like, it's funny because that is a flag of treason. It's a flag of succession. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And I understand. I still understand the Southern pride thing, and just because you have that does not mean you're racist.
Right.
But it's a pretty racist symbol, if that makes sense.
It is. I have a really interesting story about this because I did traveling sales for 10 years. I did it through college and after I graduated and stuff, and before I started a business. And I spent a lot of time in Mississippi. And I had a friend that was with me, and him and I are very much like we enjoy making other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we don't get uncomfortable very much, but this is like the one time I was able to make him uncomfortable. It was at a time when it was either South or North Carolina. They were having this big, there were protests about they were flying like the state flag and the
Georgia.
Confederate flag, or
Georgia.
one of them.
Yeah.
It was like 2014 or something like that.
Yeah.
2015. I don't know.
The Confederate flag was at the Capitol building
Yes.
or the State House building or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and being from Texas, like we don't care about the Confederate flag. We care about the Lone Star flag.
Yeah.
And, we're Americans first, but we're also very much Texans. And like Civil War is part of our history, but we don't give a crud about the stars and bars really when it comes down to it. Yeah, there's some dudes,
Yeah.
some, that are probably more of the racist type that fly it, and that's very prevalent. But for us, like, we don't care one way or another about the Confederate flag. So we're hearing all about it, and there's a big debate. And I'm in Mississippi. I was in Jackson, Mississippi, and I was like, you hear what everybody says on the news, and I just had the feeling of like, listen, if for African American people, if it really makes them uncomfortable, like, I'm all for getting rid of it, right? But I wanted to ask them. So like, we were going, two white guys in Mississippi, everywhere we went, and we were working, like we'd stop at gas stations and stuff, and I would just ask random people. I'm like, hey, kind of preface the story the same way. Like, I don't really have any attachment to it. I just want to know, like, what do you feel about it? Like, because it's a part of the Mississippi flag too. It's in the top corner of the Mississippi flag. And I had so many people where I was like, well, African American this, African American that. She goes, well, first of all, we're black. We're not African American. We're black. She's like, I haven't been to Africa. It's like, I don't want, I don't
I'm
want
American.
Yeah. She's like, I'm American. I'm black. I'm a black American. I'm not African American. I'm like, sweet, because that's one of those things that's kind of just been ingrained to us to say like African American this and that. But that was the first thing she stopped, was like, first of all, I'm black. Like, I'm not African. And I was like, all right, cool. And most of them, I never once heard one person say we need to get rid of it, which is weird. And like, the more they were just like, I got bigger things to worry about was another one. I mean, which is maybe like a cop out, like they don't really want to address it. And I'm a stranger asking like a tough question. And, but I mean, I saw a guy working in a yard, and there was a flagpole with a Confederate flag, black guy doing yard work with a crew. And I just went up to him because I was doing door-to-door sales. I was in the neighborhood, so I was just walking around through everybody's yards anyway. And I was like, man, I'm like, I got a question for you. Like, there's all this stuff going on about the Confederate flag, and like, I'm from Texas. I don't really care, but I want to know how you feel about it. Like when you come to a house like this and you got to work in a yard and that's flying right over the top of you, like, how do you feel about it? He goes, man, he's like, it's different out here. Like in the South, like, he's like, it's not about racism. Like it's a Southern pride thing. It's a rebel pride thing. And he's like, and even black people fly the rebel flag, and he's like, there are some people that are racist and they use it that way. He's like, but he's like, for us, like, it means something different in the South, which I'm like, I can understand that because we've seen that. And the more people kept not agreeing that we should get rid of it, the like more determined I was to find somebody to say, let's get rid of the Confederate flag. And I couldn't find a single person that was like, yep, it's racist. Da, da, da. You hear it on the news all the time, and we hear it from talking heads. We hear it from, plenty of white liberals who want to teach us what to be offended by.
Right.
And that was the main thing. I was like, well, we hear it in the mainstream news. Like, I want to hear it on Main Street, like, how do these people really feel about it? And, and I'm sure, there were some people who just didn't want to engage, and they were like, I got bigger things to worry about. But I was just as honest and as openly as I could, just trying to get like a real, answer for somebody. And I felt like for a lot of people, like they really felt that way. It's like, they're like, I've got a rebel flag. You know, and there are some, you know, there is the Ku Klux Klan and all those kind of guys and whatnot, but they're like, it's a Southern pride thing. It's a rebel pride thing. And he's like, black people feel that rebel pride as much as the white people do. And I mean, it blew me away because all you hear on the news is it's a hateful symbol and it's degrading to black people. And who else would probably be more offended than people in Mississippi and Alabama who are at the crux of it all, like the center of it all. Yeah. You know, the Ku Klux Klan, the Deep South had probably experienced more prejudice, more racism than anybody else. And even they were still like, no, that's not really what it stands for. So, you know, again, like I don't have any attachment to it one way or another, but for me, it was just, I mean, it was super interesting. For my other friend that was with me, I'd start asking people, you know, whoever was around, whoever I could say, he would just leave. He would just walk away because he was so uncomfortable with the whole conversation. Because it's hard. Like
I've been right there with you for sure.
Yeah, but it's like it's so interesting to me. And again, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations we were there for a couple of weeks, and every chance I got to ask somebody about it, what was going on, especially on being on the Mississippi flag, couldn't get one person to go, yeah, that needs to go.
But that's what we need more of, right? I mean, like for me, I don't want to come down. Like, let's just take the vaccine, for example. We won't get like super political, but let's just take the vaccine, for example. I don't want to talk down to someone who decided to get the vaccine.
Sure.
What I want to do is I want to have a conversation and ask them what got them to do, what made them think that they needed to get the vaccine.
Right.
But even now, like the Indians are suing the Redskins now to get the name back.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't led by them. It was led by a bunch of fucking white liberals that are offended for someone. Yeah. Like the term little people versus midget. What's more, to me, the few that I know now, they hate the word little people.
Right.
Like what's more offensive? Little people? Like you're not a little, I mean, yeah, you're smaller than average, but you're not a little person. Like I fucking hate it when people say, "Oh, you and your little band," or "You and your little show," or you know what I mean. Yeah. I hate that shit. Yeah, that's so degrading.
Right.
So I guess it just depends on where you come from and what you're doing, and you know, and because of this crap, now everybody's got an opinion, and
everybody's got an opinion,
and so you just got to do what's. I'm a big, like me, I'm a big First Amendment supporter, right? I'm a big say what you're gonna say. And I think that anything should be able to said, but I also think intent is a big thing about it. You know what I mean? If I say the N-word and I'm with a bunch of friends and there's no negative intent behind it, there should not be any problem with that. Not that I do.
Sure. Yeah.
But you know, or if we're just hanging out and like, oh, you're retarded or whatever. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Right.
I don't really use those words anymore.
Man, if people knew what we said in the 90s, like, right, compared to now, that was just every day.
But it wasn't like a lot of the stuff that's called racist or anti-Semitic or whatever. Go down the list. Is it off color? Is it kind of? Yeah, it is. But it's not. Man, I'm not coming at you with a bad intent. Like if a stand-up comedian does a joke,
right?
It's all about intent, man. It's just being funny, dude. He's not. Nobody's condoning it. And actually, if you really listen to their message, they're probably slamming the people pretty hard.
Right.
I remember I made a post. So I grew up in Splendora, Texas, right? Okay. And I grew up pretty ultra right wing. Yeah. Not pretty, ultra right wing.
Okay.
And very, like, you know, we used all the bad words.
Very, very David Allen Coe.
Yes. And a couple years ago, I posted a post on Facebook and I said, if you still use the word, and I spelled it out in the post.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the post was talking about those people. Because what I was trying to do is I was trying to hit home to people I grew up with.
Yeah.
I was trying to hit home to people in my small town. And I wanted it to be, dude, I got roasted.
Right.
And I'm like, are y'all even looking at the context of what was said?
Yeah.
You're not. You know what I mean? And it just didn't matter, but it was mostly white liberals that were pissed off. Right. I had one black guy that I went to high school with that got offended by it, and I of course apologized to him, but he knows that I'm not like that.
Yeah.
Anymore. You know, I was definitely raised like that, and that's why I know, because I was raised that way.
Right.
I know that there are people out there. I know that racism does exist.
Right.
But it's not on the level that
they're trying to make it to sound like it is. Yeah. I mean, it really is a lot of, you know, it's a lot of white people trying to tell us what to be offended by, which, you know, for a lot of years there was the whole Fox News versus MSNBC. And obviously, like, I'm definitely more conservative and right leaning, but man, like I started to realize it was probably about 12, 13 years ago of like, wow, no, it's just the same, like a different side of the same coin. Right. Yeah. And so I started getting away from the media and like just listen to what their opinions are. And I started listening to the other side more than I was listening to, like, instead of watching Fox News, I was watching more MSNBC and more like CNN because I wanted to hear what the other side was saying. Right. Yeah. And because it's like, I already know what the Fox side says, right? Like, and family and this and that. It's like, I want to know really what they're thinking and like how they view the world. And yeah, I mean, and you see that definitely on both sides, like they skew things, they twist things. And that was one of the reasons behind, you know, when the whole Confederate flag thing was going down in Georgia or Carolina or wherever it was. And I was in Mississippi. I was like, dude, I want to find out for myself. Yeah. You know, and I want to just regular Main Street people like me, I want to just hear what they have to say and just have like a human to human contact, you know. And I had people, and I actually posted this whole thing on Facebook after it happened. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, you know, they just haven't been educated to, you know, they don't understand really fully what it means to have the Confederate flag. And I'm like, why are you as a white person trying to tell this person how they should be offended? Like, they've lived through it way more than you ever have or ever will. Like, people are telling you to do this, so you feel like these people, like, their opinion doesn't matter based on what they live because they haven't been, you know, educated the same way that you should see the world. It's like, man, if anything, you should probably listen to more to them because they're living it. Yeah. You know, like we're over here, white people behind a keyboard, trying to talk about
it's virtue signaling.
It really is,
yeah,
and that's the worst part about it. It's like I understand having, you know, empathy and sympathy for people who go through that sort of stuff, but it's like, when people focus on the wrong things, like your post, nobody wants to focus on the substance of the thing. They just see the trigger and want to be offended, and then they just want a virtue signal. It's like, right. And I think there's a lot of pushback on that too now with comedians, you know, who won't go to college campuses anymore because they don't care about the jokes. They just all of a sudden are offended. Yeah,
we're over it,
and so
everybody's over it. Like people like me, we're over it.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna say what's on our mind. And then if you get offended by it and I really think I did something wrong, I'm going to apologize.
Right.
And then we can go from there.
Exactly.
I'm not going to not be me because of your sensibilities. That's exactly. Not fair. It's not right.
Right.
You know, we all have difference in agreements and or difference in opinions. And that goes from politics to religion to everything right. down the line. You know what I mean? And what's funny about me is I have friends of all walks of life.
Right.
I'm not a religious person,
mm-hmm.
but I got friends that are super religious. I got friends that are kind of religious. I got friends that are super ultra liberal, dude. Like,
right.
And every time something happens, I already know how they're going to stand on it.
Yeah.
And I got friends that are ultra conservative, but no matter what happens, I know where they're going to come across on it. And so those people, I don't really fuck with. I mean, I talk to
right.
them, we're friends, but I'm not going to get involved in a conversation with them because I already know where it's at. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I also have a lot of friends that lean a certain way, and those are the people that I find more common ground with because they're still open-minded enough. They're not stuck in their ideology so bad that they're just never going to agree with you on anything.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where we are right now as a country. It's like you got the right wing, you got the left wing, you got the right wing media, you got the left wing media. You got one side that's sticking up for the top 10%. You got one side sticking up for the bottom 10%, and mm-hmm. us 80% have no outlet. But now we do.
Right.
You know, now we have the Joe Rogans of the world and even the Bill Maher's of the world that are like standing, and he's liberal, but he's standing where he always was.
Always was, yeah.
He's not moving.
They've just moved to the left of him now.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I won't change my mind. If you
right.
you come to me and we have a good conversation about something, I can definitely change my mind.
Right.
I mean, it just recently happened about something. I was talking to Linda Wilson from the Texas Country Music Association, and she was like, you really should stop saying you don't care about awards. And I was like, well, I don't really care about awards. She goes, yeah, I know you don't. She said, but the thing is, when you say that, it's a slap in the face to your fans. It's a slap in the face to the people that voted for you. It's a slap in the face of the other people that are up for those awards.
Right.
So if you don't want to care about number ones, that's fine. But you should definitely care about awards. Because I got nominated this year for like Professional of the Year or something. Yeah. And for the Texas Country Music Association, and I was just like, I don't.
Yeah.
But now because of that conversation she had, now it's different. Now it's like, okay, nobody's ever approached me with that before. You know, but you got to be open-minded enough to have the conversation to grow.
Yeah.
If not, you're just gonna be the same stale asshole you've always been.
And the truth of it is, like, whether you win the award or whether you don't win the award, you're not going to do anything different. You're still going to go after and do the things that you were going to do yesterday, right? So from that aspect, you know, really, you're like, you know, if I win this award tomorrow, it's not going to change my life, and so why would I care about it? Yeah. You know, but there is the other side of it. It's like, well, no, it's recognition, and there's people who are watching you that are proud of you. They want that recognition for you. Yeah. You know, so
it changed. It's just changed my outlook on it, you know, completely, and that's just from a conversation. So you can, if people would just open up and have open conversations about things, it just makes this world a better place, man. Right. Like my family, they can't do it. Every time we get together is a fight. Every time, because people are so stuck in their ideology, man. And I just choose not to be around those kind of folks very often. You know, I like the open-minded folks, you know. Yeah. I got a lot of obviously, because we're in country, we're obviously going to have a lot of conservative, more conservative people, but I got a lot of them that are super open-minded, man. Yeah. Like, you know, when I was raised, it was like smoking weed was like, oh, they're just a bunch of dope heads, and they had all this negative connotation. But now it's like, no, because we've had open conversations about it. Now it's much more mainstream, you know, it's much more accepted than what it once was. Yeah.
So I played baseball, and I grew up in Houston here, and
I really wanted to talk to you about baseball too, because I know you're a huge Astros fan.
Huge, yes.
But you played ball.
Yeah, I played ball high school, and I went on to college. I played JUCO in Arizona, and then I did D1 at University of Utah. But like I was a jock, I was an athlete, but I was also in theater. And
me too.
Yeah, and so I did the plays, and you know, theater's a very eclectic group. I mean, it's like where all the kind of the weirdos are, right? But I loved it. Like my senior year, I hung out with my theater people more than I hung out with teammates and stuff, because it was like every weekend was just, there was just monologues happening spontaneously, and it was just like it was a performance everywhere you went. And it was, you know, and you know, in the 90s, like, being homosexual and gay was still not, you know, that was still a very like hard thing for people to come out about. But we had friends, you know, that were wrestling with that, like wrestling that with knowing that they were, and then trying to balance that with their faith and their family and stuff. And, you know, teachers and most people in my theater were super liberal, super left, you know. And here's, you know, Nate, grew up Mormon. Like that church right here behind your house, right? Mm-hmm. That's and I've never drank, I've never smoked, but every weekend I'd go hang out with people while they drank and smoked, and it was beautiful, because they always accepted me for who I was, and never pressured me to be anything other than what I am, and in fact supported me in it. And, you know, the same thing went for them. Like, I was always me, and I just accepted them for what they were and what they wanted to be. And some of my best friends, you know, that I had lifelong relationships are people in theater, and they're completely different from me. Like, you know, don't believe in God, don't, you know, drink, smoke, have done every drug under the sun. And, you know, and they're just like some of the dearest people to me. And I've loved having like that kind of circle of friends in my life, where it's like it helps you understand people more. And like, we haven't always agreed on politics, you know, certain laws that have, you know, happened, but like I've been able to call them and be like, okay, tell me what I'm missing, like from this side. And I recently lost a friend a couple months ago. His name was Connor Brook, who was that for me, basically our whole life. Like, he was just somebody that very intelligent person, completely opposite of me, but we were very close. And if I ever needed kind of like a talking to, if I posted something online, he would call me up or text me, be like, hey man, this is why that's insensitive. And I could listen, you know, and you know, but it was great always having that. But you know, you really find that no matter what your religion is, no matter what your beliefs are, there's good people everywhere. And no matter what your religion is, there's bad people there too, you know, and people, you know, you're going to believe what you believe and respect that. But it's like, you've got to be able to see past your differences, you know, on a political level, on a religious level, to really see people for who they are, because there's so many good people out there that really we can coexist and we can understand each other, and it is possible. if we just don't focus on all the stuff that doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah.
And if we could like have these conversations, like it's like being in that circle of friends and knowing those people, you know, my whole life is like a testament of that. Of just, you know, it's really sad to see what's going on with the world today, that people can't have that conversation.
It is. It's very sad. I mean, I don't have I have a personal Facebook, but I don't ever get on it. I only have my artist page. So when I log on, I can't see all the personal crap. But Candace is constantly screenshotting me and be like, "Hey, can you believe this?" And and I'm just like, I don't care. Like I don't. What I know is I know people, and I meet people, and I hang out with people, and I give everyone the same shot.
Right.
I give everyone the same chance to be my friend.
Yeah.
And we're friends until you
give me a reason.
Till you give me a reason not to.
be.
And then some of us become better friends. Some of us remain acquaintances. You know, some of us become really, really close.
Right.
You know, and that's what's beautiful about us, about humans, man, is you get this whole big wide world out there, and you're choosing to stay in your little bitty closed-minded world. That's your choice.
Yeah.
None of these people that you're judging is affecting your little world.
Yeah.
You got to open up your mind. Just because you've surrounded yourself by the same 15, 20 people that all believe what you believe,
Right. Yeah.
does not mean that there's not another answer out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's with the religion thing, you know, I mean, I'm not one of these like hardcore atheists where it's like people that believe in religions are stupid. You know what I mean? Because I hate those people.
Right.
Bill Maher's kind of like that. But it's like, I'm more of like I believe, I still hold those values, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't steal. I try to show everybody the amount of respect that they give me. You know, I treat people the way I want to be treated. So I feel like I still live that way. I just don't have a higher power telling me I need to do it. Sure. I'm just doing it because I just feel like that's the way to make a world a better place.
Yeah.
You know? And I know tons of people that are like me.
Right.
But I also know tons of people that are like, go to church every Sunday, and there's just always drama. Right. There's always an issue. Someone's, you know, and there's just judgment and judge everyone around. I know those people too, but I also know people that go to church every Sunday that are a total delight.
Right.
So what you said is perfectly right. I mean, that's just the way the world is, but we're all people. You're all humans. But the problem with this whole, the whole thing going on right now with all the judgy and the sides and the tribalism, and if you're a Christian, you can't be friends with an atheist, and if you're is because those people are so far in their ideology, and there's no room for growth for anyone else.
Right.
Like if I make a mistake, I can never grow. Like, you know, that people don't change. Dude, I cheated on my ex-wife. I was a cheater. I was a cheater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would never do that again, ever in a million years. I would never do that with anybody.
I saw you're afraid of her too. So like I saw that clip you put out. You're like, I would never because I'm afraid of you. And she's like,
no, that's my current girlfriend. I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I saw that clip.
But it's really the honest reason was because I just don't want to feel that gut feeling. I know that I did someone wrong, and I don't want to feel that gut feeling anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. The judgment is crazy right now. It's just judgmental, folks, on both sides. I don't think it has anything much to do with religion. It's just so judgmental, man.
Yeah, it's hard because you know they teach you to, you know, and you do want to surround yourself with people that will help you support your values and help you be, especially like if you're susceptible to temptation. You know, you need to put yourself in places where you're not going to be tempted, and that makes sense from that standpoint. For sure. One of the things my parents said to me, and it's always stuck with me, is that you can be in the world but not of the world. Like you can still be there and just be you, and people respect you for who you are, and you don't have to be like them, and they don't have to make you be like them, and you can just be who you are. And you know, I believe that, and I put it to the test, and I found that people respected me because of what I believed, my choices that I made, and the people who were truly my friends never tried to get me to do anything away from that. They were always like, hey, if you ever change your mind and you want to smoke weed for the first time, I get to be there.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I'm the one that gets to be there. You know, they'd always kind of claim their spot in line if I ever changed my mind or something. But it's like, I really found that you can be yourself and still love other people for who they are, and it all works out. Yeah. And you don't have to judge them for making those wrong choices, because honestly, a lot of the choices that we talk about being wrong or not wrong are just relative to our own beliefs. And, you know,
Yeah.
I can't say because I drink, I can't say like, well, you're a bad person because you drink or you're a bad person because you smoke. It's like, no, I know great people that drink and smoke. Phenomenal, like good-hearted people. And it's just their belief systems are different. And so, you know, if they ever want to know about why I don't and they come to me, I'll happily share that stuff, but I don't have to force that on them. And I don't have to do anything other than just be myself. And I found honestly that that's been more effective than ever trying to preach to somebody about it. You know, I've people who've just noticed that, hey,
Walk the walk.
yeah, I got a call from a buddy in college who was on a baseball team 12 years after I'd seen him last. And, you know, he called me up and he's like, man, I just want to let you know, like I had a real problem with alcohol and I was in the dumps and I was, you know, about to lose my family, wife and kids. And he's like, you know, I thought about you. And he's like, in college, like you never needed this stuff to be happy. Like you came to all the parties, you hung out with everybody, and you never needed this stuff to relax, to fit in, to do any of that. And he's like, I remember that. And I saw that you did it. And I knew that because of that, like I could do it. And he's like, I just want to tell you thank. And it was a guy that I honestly would not have believed, like he was a partier and it was a guy I wouldn't have thought that he would have noticed or even cared, you know? But it was one of those things where, hey, you know, if it made a difference for him to see that, hey, there's somebody out there who could live without it and be happy without it, that's possible. And that helped him, you know, become sober and everything's, you know, he says his work life, his family life, everything is a whole lot better. He's made those choices and you know, all I did was I was just me and somehow that helped somebody. And I think that's a whole lot more easy for people to be receptive to that than it is for you to sit there and go, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Cause people are just going to close off, you know, just be yourself and love them for who they are. And, you know, if there comes a time in their life where they're ready for that change and they want to do it, well then, hey, they've seen you do it and they come to it on their own terms. That's a whole lot more powerful than trying to change somebody just on your own.
Yeah. I get that a lot because of me, you know, I quit almost 2 years ago and dude, when I say every now and then, 6 or 8 times in the last 2 years I've had a drink.
Yeah.
You know, my birthday I took a shot the other night on stage and just one shot of Jameson and that was it. And you know, but I've quit. I'm not a drinker anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't drink.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sober. I'm not in recovery. I just don't drink.
Right.
And so, but I've got people at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'll have somebody contact me and be like, hey, the reason I did this is for you.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And, or not for me, but because they saw what I did.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, man. But the same thing with music, you know, I got people that are trying to do what I'm doing now because they saw me take the leap.
Yep.
And that's what's really cool whenever you just meet people. That's what I like about you, like you and Trent and me and Chris Cunningham. Like there's certain artists out there or guys out there, and they're just them.
Yep.
They're not trying to be somebody they're not. They're not trying to do things they're not. They're just being their authentic self. And I think that attracts like an amazing group of people.
100%.
As opposed to these people, we know them, you know them, I
Right.
know them, that are trying so hard to be something they're not because they're trying to mimic something that they saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this industry's full of them, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like I talked earlier on the podcast about how many artists are going out in the middle of the woods and setting up a microphone.
I've been joking. Like I see those come up and I'm just like, babe, I need to go to the woods and record a music video. You know, like it just pops up and pops up and pops up. Like
it's like, man, like, don't y'all realize that there can only be one?
Yeah.
There can only be one. And, you know, there going to be one Miranda Lambert, but yet almost every female artist in Texas is trying to be just like Miranda Lambert.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, man. It's funny what takes in some people and what doesn't take in others. And I'm the same way. You know, there's some things that I just don't understand until I understand. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I used to be like anti Mac stuff. Like, no, I'm not doing it. Like Chris Cunningham.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm like, now I get it. After getting all the Mac stuff and it all works and I don't ever have to update anything and it just all works all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, it took me a while to get it, but now I get it.
Right.
You know? But that's what makes us who we are is our experiences.
Right.
You know, it's much easier to change your mind about something when you live it than it is when you just see it or hear about it. And that's what most of these liberals don't understand, or these I say liberals, these fringe folks. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I honestly think there's some really, really valuable parts of
Sure.
liberalism.
Yeah.
And there's some very valuable parts of conservatism.
Yeah.
But the fringes, man.
No, the fringes on both sides are
terrible.
That's where it's at. Yeah, that's where the crazy is. I mean, it's, you know, honestly, we need both sides. Like we need people that are progressing society. We need people that are holding to the good values that matter. You know, and the fringe over here wants to throw all that away, and the fringe over here wants to get rid of them. And you know, it's like this has always worked for, you know, the time that our country has been a country, because there's these groups that are holding fast to the things that work, and the ones that are reforming society to make it more perfect. And so liberals and conservatives need each other, even though now it's they don't understand that. They don't see it. They don't care.
But we need conversation more than anything.
Yeah,
I say it all the time. I
yeah.
mean, one of my sayings is, without conversation, there is no gateway for respect.
right.
And I truly believe that. And if you
Yeah.
won't even have a conversation with the other side, you can't respect the other side.
Right.
And if you can't respect the other side, nothing's ever going to get done. It's
No.
just not. And I'm not saying you have to agree
Yeah.
with them,
Yeah.
but you got to respect them. You got to,
Right.
you know, just as being humans.
Yep.
You know, unless they're a thief or they're a rapist or they're,
Right.
you know, one of these like lower level scumbags.
Right.
Obviously, you don't have to understand them, but even them, I want to understand.
Right.
Like even then, I want to like. I love that show on Netflix, Mindhunter. Have you ever
I
seen
haven't
it?
seen it now.
It's about the invention of the serial killer task force in the CIA,
Okay.
and it's in the 70s. But it's got a bunch of like real serial killers in it. But that's the whole thing, is they're like trying to get
Yeah.
behind. What's really cool about that show, just real quick, is on season 2 they interview the guy who killed Dean Coral. Dean Coral was a guy down here in Houston. They called him the Candyman Killer. And what he did, his family owned a candy company, and then he built a big fortress down in like the Seabrook area. And he had helpers, little gay helpers, and they would go down to Montrose area, which is like the gay part of town.
Yeah.
And they would pick up gay kids and they would bring them back, and they would torture them and kill them. That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Well, my mom's cousin was his very first victim,
Oh, dang.
but he was the very last body to be found.
Oh.
And so he buried him over on the Bolivar Peninsula, and so it was cool to like see that
Right.
story and all that stuff in that movie, you know.
Yeah.
But man, it's really cool. It's really cool, like just trying to understand what makes you feel that way. Like instead of coming down and being like, you're just a liberal piece of shit
Yeah.
that took the vaccine, you took the jab, why not be like, hey, can you sit down and explain to me why you feel this way?
Yeah.
And maybe I might get a little understanding. I'm not saying you're going to change my mind, but at least I'm trying to walk a mile in your shoes and have a little bit of empathy for you.
Yeah.
You know, and I expect the same in return.
Right.
We need more of that for sure.
100%.
For sure. That's what I like about the Mormon religion, bro. I don't know a lot about it. I've never studied it.
Yeah.
I have friends from high school that were Mormon. I got some other friends, and you, obviously. But one thing that I notice about that religion is everybody's so nice.
Right.
Like everybody, they're not judgy. I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm sure
Sure.
you got. I'm sure you got them.
And I'm aware, like, you know, there's
But,
everybody's
man,
got them. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever Harvey happened, I went and me and a bunch of friends, we got together and we went and started demoing houses and getting the carpet out, and it was a big Mormon church that was leading the charge, and
Like
I was
all
helping
yellow
them
shirts
out.
or whatever.
And man, we were just we went. I tore up 14 wood floors in one day, dude. Like with all these people, and they gave me my own team, and I went through and and each of us had a different job. You know, our job was tear out the wood floors. They had others that was tear out sheetrock.
Yeah.
Others, you know, that way they can set up the systems or whatever. And it's just really cool because that religion does a lot for folks. That church, and that's really what I appreciate about religion. You know, I appreciate the amount of stuff that churches do for
The community.
the community.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
you know.
they're very good at, like, the sense of community in the LDS church is it's really good. I mean, and they've got the funds to do that sort of thing, but also just the willingness of people to volunteer and do that. It's kind of like a joke within our church, you know, but it's just true. Like you can mobilize a bunch of Mormons to pitch in for a lot of things. And I mean, we help each other move. We do a lot of stuff internally too, but it's great when, something like this happens and then we can get out as a group and go do it for the community too. they're really good at it.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool to see. They did it in Baton Rouge too after the floodings and stuff that happened there, like in 2018. And I was down there for a little bit helping out, but you know, it's and really, you know, there's a lot of organizations and churches and stuff that do it, you know, on their own scale. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen because it's going to move so much quicker than FEMA and the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, you could really touch people's lives. I thought it was cool when Mattress Mac opened up his place, you know, to people to come in and sheltered people on his furniture in his furniture store for Harvey that had lost their place, you know. And I mean, he who knows how much money he kind of lost,
Yeah.
you know, business wise and also just furniture wise and stuff like that. But it's like,
But yet Joel Osteen over at Lakewood
Yep.
Church, he wouldn't let anybody in.
right, you know, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you all kinds of kinds.
Yeah. And then again, I don't really know what happened. And
Right.
you don't know really what happened.
Right.
And, you know, that was just the narrative coming out is that Joel
Right.
Osteen's a piece of shit. He may be. I don't know. I've never, you know, I'm not a huge
Yeah.
fan of those mega churches to begin with.
Right,
But, I mean, he may be, that may not have been what happened.
right.
You know, maybe what happened is that he felt or they felt that you couldn't get to that church safely.
That's probably true.
You know, there's all kinds of reasons why. I'm not saying that. Don't
Right.
don't quote me on that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying there can always be a reason why somebody does something,
It's true.
and it doesn't mean that they're a piece of shit.
Right.
But he's probably a piece of shit.
That's funny. It's funny. In high school, I went to the old Olstein church with some friends. They were in a play or something like that when Joel's dad was alive.
Yeah.
But so I went to the original one before they moved into the Toyota Center or whatever it is.
The Summit.
Yeah.
You're from here, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Houston. Yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
Kingwood High,
Oh, cool. You went to Kingwood.
Yeah.
What year did you graduate?
2000.
Oh, okay, so you're not too far behind me. I graduated in '97
Okay. Yeah.
from Splendora.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're right down the road. Y'all had money, we didn't.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're from Kingwood. Like, you guys have money." I'm like, "Okay, well, time out." So yes, George Foreman did live in the back of Kingwood. Okay, but there's railroad tracks right along 59, now 69, and like the closer you are to the railroad tracks, the poorer you are, and the deeper you go into Kingwood, the richer you are. I was right on the railroad tracks. Like we would walk out my back door into the woods, and we'd go to the railroad tracks and play.
Yeah.
So we were like barely, you know, like middle class enough to be in Kingwood, but everybody else, yeah, we had friends, you know, turned 16 and mom and dad bought them and their best friend matching Beamers and jacked up trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's some money there.
But like where I'm from,
Nobody's.
everyone is rich that lives in that area.
Yeah,
in
that's
Kingwood.
true.
You know what I
Understood.
mean? As
Yeah,
opposed to because I live, dude. I'm not kidding. Up until I was like 8, you could literally from my bedroom. I lived in a trailer. You could see the floor.
Yeah.
You could see the
You
dirt.
can see the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned how to drive in like a '82 step-side Chevy truck that had no floorboard in it.
Nice.
I mean, a manual transmission.
Yeah.
And dude, I grew up so poor, bro.
I had a Mazda B2200 short bed, short cab, stick shift. The bumper was missing, the right fender was missing, and it was like dented up. And guys
Parking next to a Beamer at school.
Yeah, or my buddy's like jacked up Dodge, you know, that was like higher than my truck, and they named my truck Nightmare. You know, it was not the it was a perfect name for it, but my truck's name was Nightmare. It was not, you know, but it got me around, you know. So
Yeah, it's, you know, that area is kind of crazy. I got a lot of friends that live over there now. I do a lot of private parties, but that area, I mean, there's money there, but it's not like that much better. You know what I mean? There's not that much money over there. Not like there is in like River Oaks,
right.
Or you know, the Woodlands. I mean,
Right.
there's some places in the Woodlands that are just insane.
Right.
Have you seen the White House they built there?
No.
We had a gala there last year for Caleb Mills Foundation, and this guy built a replica of the White House in his backyard.
Oh, okay.
And it's like but it's to scale. Like
Oh,
so it has. I got pictures.
It's
inside
as
of
big as the White House.
Yeah.
In DC.
But it only has like the Oval Office and then like
Yeah.
a couple of the offices.
Oh, okay.
But then he's got a garage that it's like a big man cave, and that's where it's got a bowling alley in it. It's got a full scale a real Blue
Yeah.
Angels jet in there.
No way.
Yes, from the ceiling. I'll show you
Wow.
pictures. It's insane.
Yeah.
And he's got it set up just like it was when Trump was in office.
Nice.
It's got Trump on the pictures, you know, everything.
Oh man.
And so yeah, and I'm talking about everything, dude. Like complete with like the Marine guards
That's cool.
that he hires. Like it's
But he hires them to stand there?
yeah,
Wow.
at least for events.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I don't think they do it all the time.
Yeah.
but for events.
No, Kingwood was pretty affluent until like Houston annexed it.
Right.
You know, when I was still living there, and ever since then, it was, you know, it was a cool place to grow up, kind of master plan community. But then Houston got a hold of it, you know, for the tax money, and they kind of threw the whole plan out the window. They've just been cramming houses in there as much as possible, so they've kind of ruined it in some way. But you know, there's still a few pockets of like money, but I don't think it's like stupid build a White House money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. No, it's not. But man, if you go over here, like there's no areas over there like when you have over here. If you go over here to Hughes Landing, for example, and you got Del Frisco's and True Lux and all these places,
Right.
they don't have that in Kingwood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Over
Yeah.
here, it's like you got Lamborghinis and Ferraris parked in the valet and all
Yeah.
that shit. They don't do that over there. So it's not that crazy amount of money Katie's kind of the same way. Katie and Kingwood are kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
If you come to
it's
the
true.
parts of Katie.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm one of those guys that I just don't really care about money too much.
Right.
I want enough to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And other than that, I don't have a bunch of toys. I don't have a bunch of things. Everything I own is for business.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
I don't even have any. I know you hunt and stuff. I don't even have any hobbies anymore, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do love hunting. I got a couple bird dogs. I do some big game. When I was living in Idaho before I moved back to Texas, and I did everything there. You know, there's elk season, mule deer season, and then it was like bird season. You know, we'd pheasant and duck hunting and goose hunting, chuckers, quail. I mean, it's just everything. And then, you know, moving back to Texas to do music, it was like I kind of had to give all that up except for elk hunting, which I'm wearing this shirt now. But like elk hunting is kind of the one thing I just was like, I can't give that up. That's the one thing if I had to give everything else up, but one thing, I would elk hunt the rest of my life. You know, archery elk hunt in September, because the bulls are bugling, and I mean, being in the woods when they're rutting and stuff is just a completely different experience from like any other type of hunting. So been able to get back to Idaho and hunt every year since I've been back. So hopefully, yeah, I can still make enough money and have enough time and some freedom to go back and do that every year, because that's one thing like I really love. But
Yeah, you invited us duck hunting when we were up there last time, and I told Trent, I was like, I'll go.
yeah,
I'll go if you want me. I mean, I've done it a million times.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go if you want me to go, but I don't really want to go.
right.
And
yeah.
the only reason I don't want to go because I don't want to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning
Yep.
to get out there on the water. I don't want to be freezing and it was cold
Yep.
too. And I was like, I don't want to freeze my ass off just for a bird. I'll go to Kroger and buy one.
Right.
Like, I don't think Kroger sells them, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Duck hunting is one of my least favorite. And now when you get one, it's badass.
Right.
But it's just one of my least favorite.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, my favorite hunting is dove hunting.
Okay. Yeah.
I love bird hunting, man.
Yeah.
I want to go down to Argentina and do that 5,000
yeah.
bird club or 7,000 bird club or whatever it is.
It's a pile of them. Yeah.
And it's cool because I can shoot right and left handed.
Oh, really?
And so when I go on these hunts, it's pretty funny because you know we go like a 3-day hunt down like Bracketville or something.
Yeah.
And you'll on the first day you hear pow 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 pow, and then the second day you're out there you hear pow pow pow.
Yeah.
It's like half the shots because everybody's arms sore.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just flip arms. I hunt one day with one arm, the next day I hunt with the other arm, and I have no problems with that with shotgun. Same thing with skeet or anything like that.
Yeah.
I love bird hunting, man. It's my favorite. Or dove hunting, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like pheasant hunting. It scares the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah, my heart stops every time.
Well, and I mean, I have a pointer. You know, one of my dogs is a German short hair pointer, and so pheasant hunting, like, you know, he just goes off, and I have a GPS collar on him, and then when he finds one, he'll hold until we walk up to him. He might be a half mile away or whatever.
Yeah.
So as long as the bird's still there, but like, you know, he's pointing, so like we kind of know, all right, here he is, a bird, and we kind of get up position on it. And
We
flush it
never
up.
did that. We just went out in the field and started walking.
A lot of people do the driven hunts or whatever. Like you just walk until you flush them up.
And you walk and then they take off, and it
Yeah.
scares the shit out of you.
Yeah,
Like that.
But
Or,
I love it. It's like shot of adrenaline. Just okay, yeah,
yeah,
It's
like the deer feeders and the blind. If you blind hunt, I don't know if you blind hunt or not, but I grew up blind hunting in East
Yeah.
Texas, and you'd be sitting there, and you get in there and you just lean back to take a nap. Just until the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And then, then that deer feeder would go off. It'd scare the shit out of you, man. You're like, oh no. Yeah. That's I remember that big time. I get to a point where I would have my watch set, and I would like 30 seconds before it went off, and it still would scare the crap out of me every time.
I didn't blind hunt. I mean, Texas whitetail hunting, you got to have a lease, you got to have land, you got to have access to land, and so it was always hard. I never knew anybody. You don't ask people to go shoot their whitetail in Texas. That's just not something you do. And so either you pay money, or what I did is I just started getting tags out of state. So I'd hunt Utah and Idaho for mule deer, and I love being in the mountains, like getting up 8,000-9,000 feet, and there's places that we hunt that we'd ride in on horses at night. Like our one night opening was next morning, and it was full moon, light snow coming, so there was like an inch of just fresh powder, and we're going up the trail. We'd hunted it for years, so we knew we were going, and we could see all right, and the horses kind of like spooked a little bit, and they wouldn't go up the trail. And so like I dismounted, and I kind of just started walking them up, and I got my headlamp on, I'm looking down, and just side by side mountain lion tracks in the trail, like right in front of us, 50 yards ahead of us. So we obviously couldn't see it, but the horses knew they were there. And so it's like, all right, well, we're sharing the trail with a couple mountain lions. Next, like we set up camp, get up to the top. Next morning, we like hike 100 yards up to the peak and over, and there's another like just single set of cat tracks, even bigger, just all by itself. It's like, man, there's just so many mountain lions up here. And there's been times where I've been hunting at night, and I'd find service at some points, and I would just kind of like hike over and call my wife before sun's down, it's gone, and I'm gonna go back to camp. Before I go back to camp, lose service, I could try and call my wife or text her or whatever. And I had one experience where I was sitting on the edge of this mountain and looking over a valley or whatever, and it's that area that we'd seen all the cats and the cat tracks, and I just was on the phone, and I had that like hair on the back of my neck feeling of like, I need to go, and I don't know what it was. I never saw anything to this day, but I like knowing cats, and they stalk people in the mountains all the time. That like I think they're probably, and I think that stuff is real. I think people get kind of the intuition stuff, and even though I didn't see a cat, I feel like I kind of had like there's something here and I need to go type feeling. And I told my wife, I was like, well, I gotta start hiking back, So you start hiking back, and you start making as much noise as you can walking back. I mean, there's bears and everything else, but it's and
I mean, the odds are they're not going to get you.
No,
but
cats typically don't.
Right, but you could be that one.
Yeah.
It's like being beheaded by a terrorist. The odds are you can probably travel anywhere you want to go, and the odds are you're not going to get.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you don't want to be that one.
No.
I was so in 2019 I climbed my first 14er up in Colorado.
Nice.
And I didn't make it to the summit, but we got to about 13,000 feet, and a whiteout snowstorm comes in, and it's me and two of my friends, and they're like, we're going ahead, and I'm like, I'm not taking another step up this mountain. I'm done. I'm spent. I'm cold. I'm wet. I'm ready to go down. And they were like, well, you can't go down by yourself. And I was like, fucking watch me. And I did. And well, we left our snowshoes down at the tree line, because once you get above the tree line, you need spikes.
Yeah.
And so and just take as much weight off as you can.
Right.
And I get down to the tree line, and I can't find my snowshoes, man. And it's just coming down. And then I just start going down the mountain.
Yeah.
Well, dude, next thing you know, I'm lost.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to do.
For like 11 hours, dude. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There was 3 or 4 times I leaned up against a tree and was like, I'm just going to die. Like, this is where I'm going to die, because I have no more energy.
Right.
I have, I can't get a signal on my phone to call for help.
Right.
And I remember there was this one time I found these ski tracks, and it was going down. So I figured, okay, I'm going to follow these ski tracks. So somebody had just recently skied down this thing. So there's got to be something down here. So I followed these ski tracks, and I lost those. And then I remember rounding this bend, and I saw fresh cat tracks, bro. And I'm just like, I thought to myself, I said, well, if he comes out here, he's just going to have a free meal. Cause
right. What are you going to do?
I can't. Like, I don't work out. I'm not a physical fit person. And so you're up there.
Doesn't matter. With mountain lion, doesn't matter.
Well, I'm just talking about just in general.
Right,
like, I had nothing left. And finally, man, I got to this one spot, and my phone dinged.
Yeah.
And basically, I went down the wrong side of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And so my truck was like 7.5 miles that way, but I had to go back up the hill to get to it. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna take 10 steps, take a break.
Right.
And that's what I did all the way back to my truck, man. And my gator broke, so I was snow in my shoes. What's crazy is 2 weeks after that on that same mountain, a dude lost both of his legs.
Holy cow.
Because he stepped in a crevasse or whatever and broke one of his legs and got frostbite. And they found him like 2 days later.
Oh,
and
my
He had
gosh.
to chop both his legs off. Same mountain. Like, that could have happened to me.
Yeah.
That could have been me.
No, that's true. I mean, it happens. Every year people go snowmobiling. When I was living in Idaho, every year somebody dies in an avalanche, you know.
Yeah.
Every year there's a bow hunter that gets mauled by a grizzly. Like every year, every September, somebody gets mauled by a grizzly. It just happens, you know. And so, you know, it's like the chances are, yeah, it's not gonna be you. If you're in the woods with a bow in September in grizzly country, well, the chances are a little higher. But
Right.
you know, but the mountains they're no joke, man. Like,
But it's also so beautiful.
it gets in your blood.
There's no better place, man. I love it, dude. I love going up to Colorado and just, you know, my favorite things to do. You probably ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna tell you anyway.
Okay.
My favorite thing to do is to get up there, get to base camp. You hike in, you get to base camp, you set it up, and then you do some shrooms. And it's just you and nature.
Yeah.
And you're completely locked in everything. And it's one of my favorite. I don't do it a lot. It's not something
Sure.
I do maybe once a quarter, you know.
Yeah.
But man, you talking about just because as beautiful as they are without anything.
Right.
You've been up there.
Oh,
As
yeah.
beautiful as they are without nothing.
Yeah.
Imagine
Right.
being on something that makes everything look like a coloring book.
Right.
You know, it's just so
So
vivid.
that's the thing is I'm colorblind. So there's a spectrum of colors I can't see.
You
And-
probably could on that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is my friends. I mean, I've been to like different writers retreats and stuff. Where people, you know, like write songs. They do shrooms and they're staring at the fire and they're like, "Look at this color and that color." And I'm like, "Man, like I want to see some colors." You know, like it's not even for the trip. I just want to see colors. They've got in chroma glasses now that like help correct it, and so they're expensive. I had them for 4 years and 5 years, and then now I lost them. I'll always lose sunglasses, but they do have some glasses out that help you. Like I've seen some of the colors that I didn't know I couldn't see before, just because they've kind of figured some of that out. I'm hoping they get a little bit cheaper, a little more widespread, but yeah, I've had friends like I'm like, you see different colors? Like, could I see colors? You think if I was on shrooms? Like I
don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? Right?
You might do one thing and it fixes it.
Right? Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. I know.
How
Yeah.
bad would that be? How bad would it suck to go through your whole life colorblind and then you're like 80 and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna try shrooms for the first
And it
time,
fixes it.
and it does it, and now you're not colorblind.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the truth is like we don't know really what we're missing out on. You know,
Yeah,
it's like we see the world for what it is. And I mean, until you get the glasses, and I saw a sunset for the first time with glasses. I saw a rainbow for the first time with those in chroma glasses, because usually like the rainbow is like 4 colors for me, you know. And then I was like, oh wait, there's like a blue, and then there's like an indigo, and then there's like a purple, you know, like that's all just bluish to me whenever you're looking at it. So it was weird to see like the lines of the colors inside the rainbow that were separating them, and you're just like, yeah, there was so many other layers of the rainbow I didn't see until I looked at one of those. So, you know, most of the time people ask me like, so like when you look at this, like, what do you see? Like, I don't know how to explain it to you because I don't know what you're seeing versus different from what I see. So,
Right.
you know, it's like we don't know what we're missing out on half the time. But
yeah, that's cool, man. I know a few people that, you know, have that same thing, and there's some things that there are actually some things they like about it, and then there's some things that they're just like, I just really wish I could just see what color really is.
right, we were hiking through Arizona. I was just with my wife, taking her to we were on the Salt River, and it's a cool place. There's like wild horses out there, and I used to fly fish when I was there for school for a couple of years. And we're just walking down the trail, and there's rattlesnake just right in the middle of the trail, just, you know, sunned out, just stretched out. So I stopped, and she stopped. She's like, "What is it?" I'm like, "Oh, there's a rattlesnake right there." And she's looking like, "Where is it?"
Oh, because he blended in and you could see.
Yeah. She's like, "Where is it?" I'm like, "It's right there." She's like, "I don't see it." So I took the end of my pole, tapped it, you know. She's like, "I would have got bit." So
You know they're not rattling anymore. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, got smart.
It's weird how things evolve, man. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like, I heard that they're not rattling anymore. I heard that like the last couple of years, rattlesnake bites have been up like by a crazy percent because they're not rattling.
Yeah,
Because usually if they sense danger, they'll start rattling.
right.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's weird.
The world's a crazy
yeah,
place,
it's
man.
crazy. It's weird how they adapt like that.
Yeah, like I listen to Rogan a lot, and he talks about pigs. You know, if you let a domesticated pig into the wilderness, they start changing in 6 weeks.
Changing what?
Everything, their physicality, their snouts will get bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And I looked it up and did some research on it. It's true.
Sure.
Within 6 weeks, within like 6 months, they're fully changed. They might have, like, if you have like a cross. I don't know how much you know about pigs, but
Not
like
much.
farm, like if you have a cross, which is like those are the ones that are like black and white, like they have the white stripe in the middle.
Yeah.
You'll see those sometimes in a group of feral pigs.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen different colored ones. Yeah.
Those used to be
just got out.
domesticated and
changed,
got out and they changed.
Hmm.
It's nuts how things evolve, and they're
Yeah.
really quick about it. They're quick about everything. Hogs are quick about everything.
Yeah.
They mate a lot.
3 litters a year or something
Dude,
like
it's
that.
insane. I think it's like every 12 weeks or something crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts,
Yeah.
dude. Which I guess that'd be 3 or 4 litters a year.
Yeah.
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 I've shot them by the hundreds. I mean, we've killed them by the hundreds.
Dude, I had a buddy come down from Idaho like a month ago, and he's like, "Let's go do a hog hunt." I'm like, "Sweet." So like, called a place, found a place in East Texas, and you just want to go out and just slay some hogs. And we ended up shooting 1 hog. It was, and we got into them, but they only gave us like 10 rounds a piece, and so like we started opening up on all these hogs, and then I was like, "All right, I need more," And they were like, "Well, we don't have any more rounds." I'm like, "What do you mean? I only have 10 shots?" You pay
That's really
$500
weird.
to-
Usually they, like, the ones that down here,
Yeah.
because, they're really bad here in the Piney Woods.
Yeah,
They're really
it was an
bad.
expensive pig. We shot 1 pig.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we not have more ammo?
Dude, next
Yeah.
time you want to do that, man, let me know. My cousin goes out and does it. I don't know if he still does it, but he was doing it, and they go out and they kill them by the hundreds,
Yeah,
bro.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they got night vision on stuff, and
Yeah, it's fun.
He'll post.
That's what's fun is like doing the walk up on them with the thermal scopes. That part is just a kick in the pants when you get the wind right, just walk up on them, and all of a sudden, all right. Because I've been on a few hog hunts, but one of them was just that, just all right, 3, 2, 1, and we're just because you can pitch black outside and you can hear them, and then you look through the scope and there's just a field full of them. That's a good time.
And them, you just take them out.
Right.
You're not worried about how many points they have. You're not worried about how big they are.
Right.
You're just mamas, babies.
Right.
You're just taking them out. And I know that, you got some people that you shouldn't do that, but I mean, you have to.
There you have to.
You just have to.
They're a problem.
Yeah, they're definitely a problem.
Yeah.
It's funny, man, because we were in Florida down in the Keys, and there's a key down there, and they call it Deer Key, and the deer are so bad there, and so like they're actually doing some of that kind of stuff down there too, just hunting them. Just
Hopefully they're letting just the people hunt them and not like hiring contractors to come.
that
and
I
do
don't
it.
know. That I'm not.
That's
sure.
one of the things that ticks us off is that they reintroduce wolves into
Stupid.
Idaho and Montana,
Colorado now.
and then like the wolves get so bad that it took 1 unit of elk from like 12,000 down to like less than 1,000 elk, and so they hired some contractor to fly a helicopter out there and eliminate a pack from the helicopter, which just costs hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars,
And you got
when
people that want to go do it,
Yeah, just like open up the season, let them shoot them on site type thing.
and you can make money. You're not spending money. You're making money.
Canada's been
I was
doing
talking
that.
to a guy. We went on a whitewater rafting trip from Colorado when I was up there, and he's like part or a big wig in the game, like the wildlife management for Colorado, and he says basically 1 season of elk tags pays for their entire budget for wildlife management.
Yeah, out of state elk tags.
Yeah.
People pay good money for it, and it's a lot of the funding,
Yeah.
and there's always this debate with the Western country or states of like how many tags are allotted to non-residents versus like people who live there who can't get tags, which sucks. And
Yeah,
but it's a big revenue maker for them, is letting people from out of state come in. They'll pay the money to hunt them, and there's just people who in state get kind of screwed out of being able to hunt every year because they allot so many tags for out of staters, and it's just a catch-22 of like, well, they need the money.
yeah.
But it's like, I think you should cater to your residents and let Colorado people get a tag if they want a tag, like
Yeah.
instead of letting people from out of state, because some of those guys, like, they're hunting three, 4 times, a season, 2-3 times a season, for they'll go archery elk hunt here, and then they'll rifle elk hunting there, and like they're building points and stuff like that. And so I don't know, it's getting tougher and tougher to get tags in all the western states, and it's pretty lucky the time frame that I lived there, because Idaho, it's still pretty good for residents. I think Wyoming is probably the best place if you want to mule deer hunt and Idaho and elk hunt. You can get some of the best units over the counter if you're a resident. And but all that's going to go away, eventually. It's just people moving out to Idaho and Wyoming from California.
Well, they
else.
say that some of the best elk hunting there is in the country is in Arizona, but they don't give tags out.
It's hard.
It's very hard to get a tag.
There's some units in Arizona and New Mexico and even Utah that are just world class, but I mean, it take you a lifetime to try and draw them. You know? And so it's hard, and New Mexico's kind of dialed it back. They're doing more for residents, but yeah, if you want to hunt some of those like really renowned units, it takes a long time if you'll ever even get to do it.
Yeah, I've never been. My brother goes up to Fort Collins every year and goes bow hunting. He got one last year, and his son got one this year.
Nice,
big one.
Nice,
big one.
Elk meat's the best.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
My wife didn't care about anything I brought home, birds, deer, nothing. I started bringing elk home. I started bringing elk steaks home. She was like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
they're so good.
You bring those, and
elk, bison.
Yeah,
you know what I really
bison's
like?
expensive, though.
You know what I like?
Yeah,
I like squirrel. I know it's weird.
It's not weird. I mean,
I grew up on it.
People not in the South, that's weird.
Yeah, I like it.
But there's a lot of people in the South that's just perfectly normal.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was growing up, we lived near woods, and it was like, if we got hungry, we just went out and killed a rabbit, or we went out and killed a couple squirrels, or whatever, and we brought them home. And my grandma or my mom would, whatever. My grandma used to make squirrel and dumplings all the time.
Nice.
Man. And other than just getting some steel shot in your teeth every now and then,
Yeah,
it was very good. But that's the same thing with dove too. Dove chip I've chipped multiple teeth with that shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Dove hunting's fun, man. We went to Brackettville. This is no lie, dude. We went to Brackettville one year and we were hunting a Milo field. And the dove were so thick coming across this field, they were knocking each other into power lines and breaking their necks. And you wouldn't even have to fire a shot. You just go over and grab them, throw them in your pouch. Like, just thick, dude.
Yeah.
But also, those big hunts, there's like 60, 70 hunters out there.
Yeah.
And you got half on one, you're like getting shells rain down on you. You can feel the pellets come down. It's funny, man. But I miss those days. I don't really get to do that anymore. This year, what I was talking to Trent about, what I would like to do, I'd like to do a singer-songwriter retreat / dove hunt.
Yeah.
Maybe in El Campo or something, because I hear El Campo dove hunting's great.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think that might be cool. Get us some cabins out there.
Yeah.
Just go down
Write
there.
some songs.
Write some songs. Shoot some.
That's a lot of fun.
Shoot some birds.
Getting guys together and.
I've never been to one.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I've been to a couple. They're and it's fun just to get away, and you just get the right people. Just people are gonna mesh, and guys, girls, whoever, just that they can write and they're gonna no drama, won't be sloppy, and just come have a good time, and like songs just kind of come out. It's a lot of fun. There's a place in Colorado that a guy on TikTok some years ago reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I heard your song Last Call on the radio," and it was like the Last Call was the first song that I ever put out on radio, and I was like stoked that somebody in another state heard it. So I was like, "Which station?" And I called this station, and I was like, "Hey, I heard you guys are playing my song," and they're like, "Well, yeah. What's your name?" Nate Burnham. Was your song Last Call? I was like, yeah. And they're like, it's playing right now. And I was like, that's so cool. It was cool to hear. And I was like, I'm on my way out to do an elk hunt in September, and I can stop by, do an interview, and hang out, see you guys. They're like, well, if you want to play a show, we can come do that. So I was like, okay. And so they set us up in this farmer's like shop basically, and they had like a couple hundred, 200-300 people from the town, showed up, and but it was real cool because the kids. The high school kids of the farmer's house, they reached out to me on Instagram like, hey, do you want to come dove hunting, before you shoot or before you play? And I'm like, absolutely, and they grow sorghum, and they just got fields after fields after fields, and I mean the dove hunting was just bonkers. Like, it was just you step out of a truck and you don't know which one to shoot. They're just flying everywhere, And they invited me back out for a goose hunt, and I'd been goose hunting a couple times, but that one, like, I've got video of it. Just there are thousands of geese in the sky circling, thousands, and there's just waves of them coming from the east, like out of the sun, just more of them coming in. I mean, you just, like, I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life, and so like, some of the best bird hunting I've ever done is like out there in southern Colorado, and it's nice because you show up, shoot some birds, play a show. You know, it's like it's kind of,
sounds like dream,
dude. It's a flipping dream. So shout out to my people in La Junta and Rocky Ford. They've given me some of the coolest experiences. They let me hunt a whitetail. I had to pay out of state fees and stuff, but they had one of them had a landowner's tag for it was either mule deer or whitetail. And I had actually never shot a whitetail, even growing up in Texas, just because the opportunities are hard. And
I've shot tons of them in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, most every Texan has. And when people, know how much I hunt, and they're like, "You've never shot a whitetail," I was like, I've just always mule deer and elk hunted, and just always really gone out west for that. And so they hooked me up, like, and I got a nice, like, 8-point whitetail that is on my wall now. It's not a bruiser, but dude, I'm stoked about it. Like, it was cool. And we didn't hunt them on the blind, we hunt them on the ground, and we just kind of set up on them where we thought it was going to be. It took us a couple of days to get them, but I mean, it was just a blast. And then played a show like 3 days later. So I flew up like 4 days before the show, did some hunting. Then my band came up and we played a show for the town. It's like, and I just love those people. Like, they're like a home away from home. When I leave Texas, it's like, I can crash at their place if I'm, in between somewhere heading back to Texas, but they're just some of the best people ever. But it's like being able to hunt and play a show. If I could just figure out how to do that for the rest of my career, then, man, I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, man. That's, dude, it's so, that's one of the coolest parts about doing what we do for a living is we get to experience things in a way that most people don't. Because we're not stressed. Like me, when I go on the road, I'm one of those guys, dude, I'll stop, I'll leave early, and I'll stop at like a museum in a small town. It's and I've been to like all kinds of museums in small places, or I'll just see something that's like so-and-so next right, and I'll just stop and check it out. And sometimes it's like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm like, this is some of the coolest experience I've ever had in my life were because of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't get to do that because they don't have that freedom.
Right.
That's one of the benefits of being out on the road for sure. If you are with people that want to do that shit.
Right.
I've been on the road with some people and they don't want to do nothing. And you're like, why do this?
I love seeing new things.
Me too, man.
And I got
new things or new things?
Yes. No.
Both.
Babe, new things. Okay. We've got 4 kids at home, 5 if we count Grace. But whenever we're that way, it's like, dinosaur museum, let's go.
Yeah.
Diamond Park, let's go. Like this part, like and so we've been to some really cool places, hot springs and museums, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just on our way to places. And we'll take a little bit longer to get to where we're going, but we have all these fun experiences. But my kids knew what, they know what YouTube is, but I started like posting our family trips on YouTube, and they started getting into it like it was their own channel. So I put this page up called Team Adventure Buddies, and they'd be like, hey, they thought they were movie stars, YouTube stars, like, what's up, like and subscribe, and they do all this stuff. I'm like, come on. And they would show people, but they got really into going to museums and dinosaur parks and this sort of stuff. It was a fun way to document family trips. Then they figured out what subscribers were, and they're like, Dad, why do we only have 84 subscribers? Like, why don't we have 1 million subscribers? And I'm like, oh no, so they kind of realized, like, we don't have, they figured out what views and subscribers were.
Lost interest.
Yeah. So I haven't posted much anymore, but we had this window of like 3-4 years where we were just posting stuff, and it was a lot of fun for me because they were all into it, but
see, that's something I've never really had that family unit ever. Like, I'm probably the most domesticated I've ever been right now, even being married twice and all that stuff. I was never home. I was, and then I'm not really close to my family. I'm probably closest to my little brother, but that didn't really happen until my mom got sick. I've never really had that tight family unit to do like cool stuff with. It's always been either on my own or with friends.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely got some friends that I consider family for sure. And so I get a little jealous of that sometimes. Like my cousins, them and their dad, they're all so close, man. They go on family trips and they go hunting and they do all this stuff and like we don't do any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to do it now because every time we do it, it's some kind of bullshit
Fight or something like that.
Yeah, stupid.
Well, you know, it's the truth is sometimes later in your life, like your friends do become your family.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we don't get to choose our family, and it's not always a great experience for everybody. Not everybody has that, and honestly, like my folks got divorced after I'd left the house, but there were still some issues that even when I lived there that like, you know, affected me, you know, positively and negatively. Like there were some things I didn't like about the house I grew up in, you know, and the relationship my parents had, where it was kind of like, okay, I want the farthest thing from that. I want the complete opposite. I want this, you know?
Yeah.
So when, you know, I found the girl that I realized like, oh, I could have this with, like, that's what I want. I want her and I want this life, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, but it wasn't all roses and you know, my family lives all over the place. I'm the only one that's in Texas still. You know, I got brother and my mom are in Arizona. My dad's in Arizona. He's remarried to somebody else, and they're kind of all out. Like my dad doesn't talk to me right now, and which is a bummer. Like we used to be really close, and I don't even 100% know why. You know, and my mom, I mean, I got to see her. I have a good relationship with my mom. We don't get to see her as much, you know, because they're a ways away. And then my brothers, like I was the oldest, and you know, we had to get together. I think like 8 or 9 years ago, where we all just met in Dallas. No, it wasn't even that long. It was like 5 years ago. We all met in Dallas and hung out for a weekend. It was awesome. Like we hadn't all been together in like a decade, and it was just fun. Like we got Risk. We always, whenever we got together for Christmas, we'd bust out the Risk board, just yell at each other, you know, play for 4 hours and play Risk. And, but, you know, I think I have like a good relationship with my brothers, but, you know, I don't think I was as close to any one of my brothers as I've had like close relationships with friends.
Right. That's where I am.
Or with my wife, you know, and it's like, I've always wanted that, you know, like you see some brothers that are just tight, like they go their whole lives together. And
the guys from Texas Radio 1, the signs behind you, they're a internet radio station here in Conroe, man.
Okay.
Those three brothers, dude, they do everything together.
yeah,
And I look at them like, that's so badass.
so cool.
And like, you know, and like my little brother, you know, he's done a lot for me. He's pretty well off. He's made good decisions, and you know, he's not hurting, and every now and then he'll help me out. And the other day I called him up and I was like, hey man, I don't need anything. I just wanted to tell you I love you and that I appreciate you. And I was expecting a little bit more of an open conversation, but it was like, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, well, whatever. I got it off my heart. You know?
Right.
But then my older brother, you know, he's just not a very talkative person.
Right.
So we may talk twice, 3 times a year, you know, or maybe a little bit often if I go to my dad's house or something. And there's just been so much trauma from childhood, man. And that's the problem. And it's not bad. Well, a little bit was bad with my stepdad, but like my real dad never beat us. He never abused us. You know, it wasn't that kind of thing. It was just there just wasn't that love. I mean, yeah, you say it. You say I love you, but there's just not that love.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like not the way me and my kids are. Like when Brody's here, man, we're snuggled up on the couch watching TV, and he's 13 now, and he still will snuggle with me. You know what I mean? And he tells me he loves me, texts me he loves me, and same thing with Gracie, Candace's daughter. You know, that little girl loves me, and we have such a great time hanging out, and it's so now I have a little bit of it for sure, you know, and it's only going to get better once her and I, you know, get married and all that stuff. I'm sure it's going to happen eventually. And that's cool because I definitely want that, but you know, it is what it is. You just got to kind of make the best of what you got.
It's all I've ever wanted is a normal family, whatever that means.
I just want peace.
Well, I wish that my kids could get together with like my brother's kids, and we could all just do like a family reunion and all of our kids hang out and play, and you know, and like my my grandparents on both sides, they all lived in Utah, and a lot of them still kind of lived around Utah. So like getting together on Sundays and stuff was like kind of a normal thing. It's just so cool, And when there's a few times where we lived close enough that we could go out, and I've always just wanted to be able to have that where you have some cousins that the kids can play with. And fortunately, like my wife's sister lives up in the Dallas area, so they're like 30 minutes from us, and we can spend Thanksgiving, part of Christmas, and different holidays, and they go do things together here and there, and we get to see them and hang out. And like I love that my kids experience that, and but like my mom and dad are not really in my kids' lives like I would want for them to be, like to have a grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
That my dad doesn't talk to us, and he hasn't visited. I don't even think he's seen my youngest kid. Maybe he has when she was a baby, but my mom just doesn't have the funds and the means to come out, and I think she would if she could, but fortunately, like my wife's side of the family, her parents are phenomenal. Like they are the grandparents that you want, and every time they come to town and spend time with the kids, and they come out several times a year from Maryland. They're not even close, but I thank them, because it's like, my side of the family is the crazy side, and her side of the family, is the normal side. And it's just grateful that they're there, and they have a grandma and grandpa that, can be there, and they can have that grandma and grandpa experience, And so it's just tough. Like, and again, I think my mom would definitely want to be there, if it wasn't a proximity and a money thing. And I wish I always had the means to bring her out as much as she wanted, but it's just tough, because it's like you have your ideals of what you want as a family and stuff. It doesn't always kind of work out, but you meet people along the way where, like, when we lived in Idaho and even now in Texas, where you just meet some people where it's like you kind of just become part of their family. Like you find yourself there on Sundays.
Yeah.
You find yourself there, at get-togethers as part of the family, and you're just kind of part of the family. And so, a lot of times, friends just become that throughout your life, and that's what
happened to me.
Your family.
That's what happened to me for sure. But then again, it can always be worse. Like Candace thinks I have the best family, because I can still go to my dad's house. We still get together for Christmas. My dad, I'll go to his house and we'll work in the shop, and as long as I don't spend more than a few hours with him, we're great.
Yeah.
As soon as you start getting in there, because we're just so different. He's very, very, he's just different. And I'm very outspoken, and if I see some bullshit, I'm going to call it out. And so there's always some sort of battle if it's more than 3. I mean, every single family trip we've ever gone on has been some sort of crap.
Right.
And but like Candace, she doesn't talk to her mom at all.
Yeah.
At all. And her dad died when she was really, really young. And so she moved here from Detroit. She grew up in Detroit, and she moved and like she has no family here, 0.
Yeah.
So it could always be worse, At least
Right.
at least I do have some family that I can hear, and I love them. I'm not complaining about them at all. I love them. We just don't have that. There just wasn't that love thing that you see so many
Right.
families have.
Yeah.
I'm watching that show Succession right now on HBO, and it's like a dysfunctional family, but they still do everything as a family,
Right.
But I don't know, man. The grass is always greenner.
Yeah. Well, me and my wife Kirsty, we're always talking about it, like how, because we want that, like we want our kids to be able to come over on Sundays with their kids. And,
You got to break the cycle. Yeah.
So and we have a really good relationship, great marriage. We're really fortunate that way, and we're just hoping that somehow, they don't move away, or we all end up somewhere kind of near each other.
The odds are out of 5 of them, one of them's probably
Someone's
going to
gonna
go
go.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But also, man, it does take, something you have to want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my wedding, I got married in 2008, my second wedding in Jamaica.
Nice.
And like my dad was the only one out of my family to go, and I even offered to pay for my brother's and my mom's trip, and they just wouldn't go.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is, man.
Right.
And it wasn't because they had a problem with who I was marrying or anything like that. They stuck in their little small town, and they don't ever want to leave. That's what they want. That's where they want to be. They don't want to go anywhere else. They don't want to see the world, and that's why I'm so different from my family, because I want to see it all, bro.
Yeah.
I want to see everything. I mean, I'll go to a gay pride parade. Let's go.
Right. Yeah.
I'll go have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, I'm not doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I won't go into detail about what they'd say, but like,
Right.
it's just really funny, man. The whole family thing is really funny.
This reminded me of a story. Like my buddy that passed away, like he was one of those guys. Like he would try everything, but he's not a hunter. And but we talk about it. I'm like, man, like you got to come out. You got to come out on an elk hunt because I think he's like, I don't really want to kill anything. And he's like, I was like, well, you know, we don't have to. You can just come out and just be in the woods, like experience what it is to be close to these animals. And like, I'll hunt, you know, maybe if we get one, but it's like, it's a different experience when you harvest an animal and, you know, you have to care for the meat and you take it all and you're hiking it and you're processing it like because you know you're going to eat this food. And it's like, you do have like this respect. And there's some things I just wanted to kind of show him. And he's like, all right, I'll come on an elk hunt, but you got to do something for me. I'm like, all right, you know, and I'm thinking like, oh, let's go to a gay bar or something. He's not gay, but like,
Yeah.
you know, he was in LA. He's an actor. Like I'm thinking like, yeah, well, like no problem. Like what? And he's like, you got to come to Burning Man with me. I was like, bro, I can't do that, man. Like I'm married, man. You know. And he's like, it's so, you know. And I'm like, I don't think my wife is gonna. I don't think she's gonna. I just don't like. I mean, there's a lot of like stuff that happens there. He's like, yeah, but you know. He's like, I'll just, you know, I'll make sure you're, you know. I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything, but I can't be around like a bunch of topless girls and stuff. And he's like, listen, I'll make sure we'll get you a couple bunnies. They're dancing around you. They won't touch you. They'll know not to touch you. But I'm like, no, this ain't going to fly, man. Like I can't do Burning Man. He's like, well, I'm not going elk hunting. I'm like, I don't think this is quite like the same, you know. I don't know if this is a trade-off, but maybe it meant that much to him not to see an animal harvested.
His values is values, you know, regardless of what that is.
It was just funny. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do Burning Man, man.
Yeah, like, it's weird, man. It's very like because I know with 100% certainty that I will not do anything to jeopardize my relationship with Candace. I won't do it. I just know I won't. But like even when I went to Steamboat last year and I was up there, and you know, one of the big things about going to Steamboat is the after parties and taking your guitar and playing in the hotel rooms.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of them.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't do any of them because I didn't want her to look at my location, see me.
Right.
You know, it's just one of those
In
things. So most of the time I was in bed. I'm going next year and I'm going to do some next year, but we're in a much different spot in our relationship. We're way more grounded and we trust each other a lot more. And I mean, she just went to Vegas with her and her friend. Just her and her friend went, and I was like, "Oh, have fun," you know. And so, I don't think I would go to Burning Man though.
I
don't think I would do that. It's like a strip club, you know. Like I'm not going to go to a strip club. I don't. It offers me no.
Right.
I don't. It's not something I'm into. You know, even back when I was single and I would go, it was just always for buddies.
Yeah.
But I'd never really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Only one time I enjoyed it. We went and my brother. So my brother was there, and I got there, and he's with a bunch of like top executives in the oil field. There's like 6 or 7 of them there, and I show up. It's me and my buddy Matt and like 6 chicks, and all the chicks are hotter than any of the strippers. And so we go up in the top, and next thing you know, that just turns into a party. But my brother had this like gun that shot $1 bills, and he would put like $200 or $300 in there at one time, and we were up on the top level. Yeah. And so when the girls are dancing on the stage down there, we were just like just shooting this thing, and or just taking like wads, $300, $400, $500 at one time, and just chunking in the air. That was fun. Yeah. But it was more just watching the money fly than it was the boobies. Like, you know,
I've never been, but the
it's stupid.
Yeah, the University of Utah, like the Mountain West tournament was in Vegas for baseball, and once we got knocked out, like basically that's where like most of the team guys they ended up, you know, came back just with, and then the stories, you know, you're just like why did you do this, you know? And but it's like, you know, I don't know if Vegas is the greatest place to have a college sporting event, you know, like you want to keep your athletes in line, but all right, whatever, the weather's great. But
well, Houston either, man. There's at one time there was more strip clubs per capita in this city than any other city in the United States. Can you believe that? That's because
kind of, yeah.
It's because the oil field.
Is it?
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure that's not the same now, because I think a lot of them shut down.
Yeah,
probably. I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I don't go.
So I lived in McAllen on the border for a little while, and I mean, there's a lot down there. The Hispanic culture loves their strip clubs.
Do you know Matt Castillo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff with him. And
Okay, cool. Good kid.
yeah, he's a cool dude.
I really like him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good too, man.
He's good. I met him at one of as a rider retreat that Drew Fish put together. That his family has a place out in East Texas, and he tends to bring people down from Nashville riders, guys who like have had cuts from major, like George Strait and Kenny Chesney, Gary Allen, and then he brings up Texas songwriters to kind of intermingle, and it's a little he structures it so riders get the right Nashville guys go with the Texas guys, and it's a pretty productive retreat.
That's cool.
And so I got to meet him there. I want to go down because I lived right off of 10th and Trenton, which is right by where Hillbillies is. Like all the Texas guys would usually come through and play that little dance hall if they were in McAllen.
Well, we're working on something right now. Me and Danny Davis. Danny's Matt's manager. He owns Gringo's Ice House and near New Braunfels.
Yeah.
And we're working on a little something right now that I can't really indulge, but
Okay.
You might be one of those artists that we reach out to join in with us on what we're talking about doing, because I think we got this idea of something we can do that's going to be pretty rad.
Yeah.
And
hit me up if you need me.
And Danny's like a genius when it comes to getting money for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, because 4-6 they sponsored Gringos.
Yeah.
Did you play it yet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cool venue.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
It's
They're
cool
doing
venue.
a lot of good stuff down there.
Yeah, Danny's good people, man. Luke Archer is his partner there, and what's funny is Luke was really good friends with John Dixon from Dixon Productions that throws Steamboat every year.
Okay.
And the first night that I met Luke, when I went up there playing, I was talking a lot of crap about a certain artist, and they come to find out they were best friends. And luckily, luckily he loves me. And,
Yeah.
We talked about it because this guy has this reputation. It's not unknown,
Yeah.
And but man, I love those dudes, man. Danny, his wife, Luke, they're all his wife. They're all just really cool people, and Matt. That's what, man, that's really one of the really cool things about doing this for a living too, is the amount of people you meet that are just so awesome.
Right.
And then you get to know them, and you get to know their families, and you get to know their kids, and it's like this. It's a huge community, but it's a very tight knit community. As well, minus some of the buttholes.
Minus them, yeah. And the first time we met, like we just seen each other online. I think somehow crossed paths online, knew people who knew each other.
Yeah.
And then I think it was at the T3R Awards or whatever. Just walking by like, that's Jeff Canada. And you're like, oh, hey, that's Nate. We just hugged. Like the first time we'd ever seen each other. I don't think we'd ever really said words to each other in person, other than just like online. But it was just like, hey, I knew you already.
Right.
Went up and was like, what's up, bro? It's like we'd already been friends. And that's the cool thing. It's like, you do kind of have like, there's just like this community and this brotherhood and stuff that it's like people you don't even know yet. It's like, they're cool because that dude thinks he's cool. And like you're friends with that dude,
Right.
And so no, I love it.
I first stumbled on you whenever it was on TikTok or one of the social media sites, and it was
TikTok.
And it was one of your one-man skits, dude. And I don't remember which. I think it was the Texas Country. Like one guy was Texas Country, and you had a cowboy hat, and you were leaning back, and you were talking crap. And, and then there was the Nashville guy. Is that the one it was?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw that, man. I was like, I've got to meet this dude because that's me. Like, you're really good. Like me, I'm really good about calling it the way I see it, but I don't.
It's a little more abrasive.
But I don't.
Yeah.
There's no
You don't
tact.
sugarcoat it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm getting better.
Right.
I'm getting better for sure, but there's no tact. Where you'll say the same exact thing I'm saying, but it's in like a really like sweet,
just humorous tones.
Tones,
like
right.
you got to laugh at it.
Yeah, I'm getting better about that for sure.
It's funny. I was doing a radio tour. I was out in Snyder or something, like West Texas, and people ask the question like, what kind of music do you play? And it's like, well, country music, whatever that means, it's so many different things now. And she's like, there's this guy on TikTok that he talks about this, where it's like Texas music is just so many different genres, and it's this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah. And like, oh, it's just so funny. Like you have to pull it up. I'm like, does he have like he's like wearing the hat and oh yeah, that's him. I'm like, yeah, that's me. She's like, really? That was you. Well, which was even better. Like she didn't know it was me, but she'd seen it. You know.
Did that go viral?
I mean, I was like 100,000 views,
Oh, yeah.
a couple hundred or something like that. I mean, you know, I don't know what viral. I guess viral if it's 1 million. I haven't hit 1 million, but
Is that what?
got a lot
I
of views.
don't know if that's necessarily viral because like I got 1.5 million views on the photo of me holding the Jameson bottle and saying it's been 600 days since I've been drunk.
Okay,
I got
cool.
1.5 million views.
That's cool.
And then I had another one, the picture of me and Candace sitting at a bar, and I said, "This is how live music should be taken in."
Yeah.
I don't have my phone blocking people's view. I'm not chit chatting, messing
Yeah.
with other people. I'm watching, and that one got like 800 and something thousand views.
The one I had a post this year during the Astros postseason that had across platforms. I counted like 4 million something views.
Awesome.
It was called The Difference, and it was the one where Adolis Garcia hits his home run on the and Altuve hits the home run, and I
And
just
the reactions.
synced it, yeah,
Yeah.
and the reactions where he's just running and just pounding, he's stomping on the plate, and Altuve hits his home run, just acts like, you know, and Altuve's was a game go ahead, like game changing, lead changing home run, whereas like Adolis was like, I mean, I don't know, it wasn't as impactful, but just the way that it just kind of showed the juxtaposition of a guy who's been there and done that, you know. And I get baseball now is like it's all about showmanship and, you know, the old school ways kind of out or whatever, but I just like said The Difference and let everybody else fight about it, you know.
Yeah.
but it was funny because I posted it, and then like 2 days later I went to Game 6 in Houston. And I was just asking people in line. I'm like, "Hey, have you seen that video called The Difference?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that." Like random people.
Yeah, I
You know,
reposted it when I saw it. It was great.
It was funny that you know it took off. I didn't even post it on Facebook. I just put it on TikTok. Somebody took it, and then they put it on Facebook, and then they put it on X, and some people put it on Instagram, and so like I had to like go through. I was just curious, like how many people had seen. There's some that had a couple million views, you know, here and 1 million views there, and I was like, dang, like I should have posted it on all the other ones, because it's like TikTok. I kind of just do just different content over there than I do like on Instagram
Yeah.
and Facebook.
I'm
but
trying to get better about it. I mean, I have a lot of output.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
You're doing a great
output.
job. Like the stuff it looks professional. Like you're doing it on a consistent basis. Like I've already told you, like you're doing a great job with your social media
Thanks,
push.
man.
Yeah.
My first post ever to go viral was not on my page. It was on. There's a podcast called the Bayou Podcast, and it was a story I did. They came out and interviewed me at one of my shows, and it was a story talking about how one time I ate too many edibles at a Gary Allen Allen show that we played,
Yeah.
and it got 2.5 million views. Like it went crazy.
Yeah.
And then I reposted on my page and got like 600,000 views.
Yeah.
So, but what was crazy is it was like a 3-minute story. It wasn't like a quick 30 seconds.
People were into it.
Yeah, dude. And it was basically talking about. I'll tell the story. So I was playing a show with Gary Allen one time. I was playing a festival with Gary Allen, that's when I quit drinking, right? And so I was like, okay, I want to be at this festival all day. There's no way I'm going to be out there without something.
Right.
And so I took 100 milligram edible with me, and that's a lot.
That's a lot? Okay.
That's a lot. Like most people take 10. So I get out there and I hop off the stage after I get done playing, because I don't ever do any of that stuff. I'm straight whenever I'm playing. Matter of fact, I don't even do it during the day most of the time, but I figured if I'm going to be out there all day, let's just go have some fun. So I ate the edible, and then like an hour later, you know, it kicked in. I was feeling good. You know, I was having a good time. Well, so I went on this trailer that was kind of like an artist trailer thing, and they got like a smorgasbord of food, bro. Cheetos and Doritos and Rice Krispie treats and just all kinds of stuff. And so I grabbed a bag of Cheez-Its, and I'm sitting there and I eat the bag of Cheez-Its, eat the whole bag, and then I grab a Rice Krispie treat and I'm eating that. And guy walks on the bus. Is like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Man, I got the munchies, bro. I'm eating." And he's like, "Dude, all of that food is infused. All of it was infused with THC." So not only did I eat the 100 milligram edible, I ate the whole bag of Cheez-Its, which was who knows what,
gosh.
and then I ate the whole Rice Krispie treat, which who knows, dude. The rest of the time I was at it was the most miserable I've ever been in my life, dude. I was just like, every picture. I got a picture of me and Wayne Toops, and I look more smashed than Wayne Toops. That's how bad it was. So it was cool that went viral, you know, and it got me some recognition. I'm still waiting for the first time I go viral with something that has to do with music, though.
Right. That's the thing is like on TikTok, like I talk about music and stuff, but like I haven't gone viral for a song that I put out. You know, it's always the little skits I do about country music or Red Dirt or anything else like that.
Which platform do you have the most followers? TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok.
Yeah.
It's just like a little over 25,000.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's not. I mean, it's not killer. Gosh, TikTok was so good. Like 22, spring of 22, and it was just so easy to get views, so easy to get followers, and being live. And I would go live like several nights a week.
Me too.
Just get people to come in, and I had to like tell my wife why I wasn't coming to bed. I'm like, sorry, I'm on TikTok, but this is super productive, you know.
Yeah.
It's
not like that anymore.
It's not anymore. They changed the algorithm. But that whole summer, I did a run through Colorado and Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, like a bunch of Western states. I had like 23 shows through like 7 states, and I had more people show up because they see me on TikTok than anything else that I had done. It was so productive that summer, and then like came
awesome.
back and they changed the algorithm, and they've changed it again now because it's more TikTok shop oriented. If you're not selling something, they don't really push your stuff anymore. But
I knew a guy that was making $20,000 a week on TikTok, and he quit his job and started his own company, and then and he did pretty good for a while, and then all of a sudden he got from making $20,000 a week to not even making $1,000 a month. Like just
switched it.
Yeah. But what's cool is Facebook now Facebook's kind of taken the TikTok algorithm, and that's what they're using now.
Oh, really?
So that's what's really cool about Facebook. So I'm having a really good traction on Facebook and Instagram now.
Just posting like reels and stuff?
Yeah, because before you had to pay to get people to see your shit on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's not like that. Now it's if you're a creator, they pump your stuff up.
That's good.
Yeah. So almost every video I post on Instagram, I get over 1,000 views.
Oh, that's good.
Almost every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in like the 200 to 500 view jail of TikTok right now.
Yeah, me too. I can't get anything to go over. I did have one the other day get to 1,000. I was like, oh, that's cool. But man, what I decided, I talked about this earlier with BC, the guy that was on previous episode, and he was asking me if I get into the analytics a lot, and I said I was paying attention to TikTok and Instagram and all and Spotify and all that stuff, but now I just don't. Now what I'm doing, I'm just doing the work. I'm doing the work. I'm putting out stuff, and whatever happens. I'm not even going to worry about those numbers, because as soon as you start worrying about those numbers, then you start adjusting what you're doing to to appease the numbers.
Yeah.
As opposed to just putting out the art you were going to put out anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to stay at. I want to stay at just putting out stuff because I can put it out. And if I had unlimited funds, dude, I guarantee you I could release a song a week if I had unlimited funds.
Yeah.
I have so many songs to release. It's insane.
Yeah. No, it just comes down to money.
So how do you feel right now? How do you feel about your music career right now? Other than being thankful, I know you're thankful, obviously.
Sure.
We all are. But, like, do you feel like you're at a stagnant point, or do you feel like you're making some headway? Or
I think everybody feels like they're not going as fast as they want to.
For
and you have these moments where you're like, oh, well, I'm farther along than I realized. And you kind of go back and forth between trying to be patient and trying to be, just really hungry for the next thing. And, I'm at that point where I feel like I've plateaued in some areas, and so I'm still trying to kind of figure out what's next as far as like when I first got back to Texas in 2021 is when I really started to hit everything just full time. It was like right after that snowstorm hit.
yeah.
See, we left Idaho to get out of that crap, and then we brought that with us. So I just want to apologize to everybody. It's my bad. We're the ones that came with us, followed us right down. But that February, I started from scratch. Like I just had no contacts in East Texas, just nothing. And I started going open mics. And I was going open mics 5-6 nights a week, just starting a network. And, meet the right people, start, booking duo gigs and, this, that, and the other. And and I was just always trying to do the next thing, play the next place. Like they're playing there, cool. Full band there. All right. And just making sure that I wasn't just kind of falling into just a loop of playing the same places. You know, starting out, you play where you can, and most of it was kind of, you know, within 50 miles of where I lived. And then as soon as I could start branching out and stop playing in my hometown, Rockwall's where I live. You know, it's my home base now. But I did a real good job of just trying to get out, and then doing the runs through the summer out west, and you know, I got onto some pretty good. There's the Snake River Stampede. It's right outside of Boise and Nampa. It's like the 10th biggest rodeo in the country. They do a great job. You play it's in the Ford Center, and they have a Ford amphitheater where like Parker McCollum, all those guys play, and you know, got to play like the $1 Million Cowboy Bar in Jackson Hole. And so, you know, I've been able to like get into some of these places outside of Texas, and it's good because people see like, hey, you're out there doing that. You're not just here. And we got to open for Martina McBride this last September in Idaho, which was cool. It's like a, you know, 4,000 people. It was, you know, small arena, but it was sold out. And
That's awesome.
That was a cool experience. You know, and we lived in Idaho Falls, so it was kind of almost a hometown show for us. Like, we had so many people there for us. As you know, obviously they were there for Martina, everybody, but we had people there for us. And the show, just from the second we stepped on stage, felt like it was our show as much as anything. And we got a standing ovation when we were walking off stage, and the arena people said that's the first time they've ever had a standing ovation for an opening act. You know,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Like, well, that was cool. You know, so I mean, like, we kind of go through the list of like, all right, like, we've done some good things, and you know, we played some good places and made a lot of headway in 3 years. And there's people that have surpassed us in that 3 years, you know, just in a year or two. And then there's people that we've surpassed in 3 years, you know, so you can get into the whole, like, looking at what other people are doing and how they're going on in the career. And, you know, a lot of people get frustrated, and there were people who were frustrated with how well I was doing in the short amount of time, 'cause they've been at it longer. But it's just like, yeah, you can't play that game. And so that's a lot of where your frustration goes. But definitely I think where I've plateaued, is, you know, the booking and getting into, you know, I really wanted to spend some of this last year opening for bigger acts to start building more. And, you know, Martina was part of that. But yeah, I haven't like connected with those circles well enough to get,
it's hard
to play with like a Josh Ward or, you know, somebody like that, where I can get in front of these crowds and start building and playing in the dance halls and some of those things. So there's a few places that we play that we do pretty well, but, you know, I'm still in this in between of playing some dance halls full band and still playing some duo shows here and there. And then, you know, making these runs out, around Texas. And so, you know, it's hard getting from, you know, a duo or a solo acoustic act and then making the jump to full-time band and trying to keep band members and trying to keep everybody happy and paid. And so, you know, it's a weird in between to be. And, you know, it's always nice if you could have somebody doing the booking for you, but you can never really set that down. Like, you know, I've got people that help with it, but it's really just like, so I don't just repeat what I did in 2023. I've got to get some relationships to kind of help me take me to the next level. I mean, it's all relationship based.
It's all relationship based.
Yeah.
Everything that's ever happened to me has been just because of who I knew, for sure.
Right.
But if once you embrace that and you realize, okay, that's what it's about, I got to start going out and meeting folks, then that's what you do. You know, you come out and do these things, and you do this and you do that. And, you know, I got lucky enough because I got involved with Charlie Diggs, who does a lot of festivals around here. Yeah. I got involved with him, and then him and I kind of made an agreement, and so he was putting me on all his festivals, and so I got to open up for so many cool people. Cool. But that also other people too. But a lot of that is just from my relationships. You know, I've been playing this. You know, like I got to open up for Pat Green here at Sawyer Park. The owner of Sawyer Park is one of my best friends. Yeah. I got to open up for Cody Canada at Jackie's Brick House. I got to open up for Stoney in El Campo. And then all the people I played on these festivals, but it was all because I had these relationships with these owners or these managers or, you know, I tell everybody all the time, I tell these younger musicians, I'm like, when you go into a bar, you need to treat everyone as if they're the owner of the bar. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to take care of the bartenders, chat them up. You need to, like, you getting their approval is just as important as getting the owner's approval. And the reason I say that is because you don't know how many bar owners that I've known that were bartenders, right? And now they're opening up these venues, and guess who they call when they want to do live music? Right, this guy. And then that opens up a whole new level, you know. So you have to be very conscious of that. Every handshake matters, every relationship matters, dude. Every one of them.
And I think that's something I brought with me because, I had a company, a pest control company. We did a lot of recruiting, like a lot of sales stuff and a lot of networking. So I brought a lot of the networking skills with me. And I think that's one of those things that people they don't know about that sometimes when they come in. They just think like, all right, I'm going to come in, my music's going to be good. They're going to want me. Right. Well, no, it doesn't really matter how good your music is if you just don't have the people that, are friends with you and want to help you out.
Yeah.
And networking is something that just a lot of people don't get. If you're seeing this, read a book, read 5 books on networking, learn about networking and how you do that. Because if you're starting out right now, or if you're 5 years into your career and you're not networking and haven't figured out how to do it more. I mean, you can always get better at it, but that's really what the name of the game is.
All of that, social media, everything. I mean, I got so many artists that are bitching on social media. I'm shadow banned, and then I go look at their Facebook or whatever, and they have 4 posts this month, and they're flyers.
Yeah.
Like, you're not shadow banned, bro. You're just not posting anything that's interesting.
Right.
And you're not posting enough. I mean, this last class I took about 4 weeks ago, it specifically said right now, if you're trying to build a brand, you need to be posting on social media 10 to 15 times a day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And I know it's crazy and I know it's a lot of work, but once you get in a routine of that, it's not. And don't be afraid to recycle content.
Right.
Post shit you've already posted. It's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
Perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've posted some videos that got 60 views the first time, and then 3 months later I post the same video again, it gets 3,000 or 4,000.
Yeah.
You just don't ever know what's going to happen or what to, But right now, 100,000 new songs a week are getting uploaded to Spotify. So what are the odds that one of your songs is going to break through if you're not doing all of these other things?
Yeah.
You've got to be doing it.
Yeah.
I would love to be in a position where I had a team of people doing it, but I don't.
Right.
It's just me.
You just got to kind of build.
And so that's what I don't understand about some of these guys that are just so talented, and some of them are getting opportunities thrown in their face because of how good they are, and they're just like taking it for granted, and they're not even trying. And they're just like,
yeah.
My buddy Mason Mark, he I don't know if you know him or not.
I've talked to him online. I've never met him.
He's a good dude,
Yeah.
man. I'm so glad him and I became friends. But
Yeah.
he's kind of a country boy. Lives out on his family's farm, and he just works his ass off all the time. And
Yeah.
he had one song called Drifter that got 2.5 million views,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have a clue how, but he just now recently hit me up. He's like, man, I'm moving into doing music full time, so I think he's gonna actually start trying harder
Yeah.
than what he was.
Yeah.
But it's like here I am busting my ass 24/7 for this, and I can't get anything to take off.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you got to do the work, man.
And it's interesting what takes off and what doesn't,
Yeah.
know. And sometimes it's like there's a formula, you got to post this much, and then there's sometimes you're like, what the heck? Like, how did that, But it is what it is. Sometimes, like,
Yeah, when that picture of me in the Jameson bottle, I've posted that picture 10 times.
Yeah.
When that went viral to 1.5 million views, 1.6 million views, I was like,
Yeah.
out of all the crap that I post, that's what goes viral?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then I'll have some clip that I think is just the best clip, and I'll put it up there and then get nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, I get that. And I posted this video a little while ago called the Whiskey Wheel, where I just kind of made fun. Like, I thought that was just gonna go
so good.
and people were like, I get people comment, and they're like, how does it not have 100,000 views? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I thought it was pretty clever, but I guess that of course
nobody
I'm
saw
gonna
it.
think that, right? But it just didn't it didn't take off like I thought it was going to. But
That's what I thought about my Monsters video.
right.
My Monsters video. I mean,
Yeah.
I put a lot of time and effort into that video. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I've heard the song.
It's the one where I kill myself at the end. And if you watch that video, it's very, very, very powerful. And I thought, man, this is what's gonna get. And I got 21,000 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was it. And then
Yeah.
And then my live album, I did my live album. Like, dude, this thing sounds so good. People are gonna, dude. I don't even have a single song over 600 spins on that whole album. So
Yeah.
you just don't ever know. Same thing with songs. I mean, I've written songs that I'm like, this is not one of my favorite songs, and then it blows up, and then I'll write something that's, I think this is the best song I've ever written. I'll release it, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I mean, I felt that way about Guitar in My Hand. It's on the charts right now, but like I thought it's done pretty well. But
It's a great song.
I thought I would have done a whole lot better. Like for me, like I've had it recorded for a couple of years. I've kind of just been saving it to build up, to releasing, because I wanted to have some momentum behind it. And I mean, it did all right, but it didn't like, you know. And I thought like, oh man, this song is probably gonna turn some heads. But
That's the way I felt about Back to Texas.
yeah, and it's
Dude,
just,
I mean, that song's a good song. That's like,
Yeah.
to me, Back to Texas is like the perfect Texas country song.
yeah,
It's about leaving Texas and wanting to come back, and
Yeah.
it's got Jody Bartula on fiddle on it.
Yeah.
It's got Brian Sal on guitar, like all Walter Cross on drums, like all-star
Walter,
Texas,
yeah.
all-star Texas dudes.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
wah, wah. I mean, it's got 60,000 on Spotify, which that's nothing to shake your head at, but
no, that's not bad.
but it's not.
No, that's
I wish it had
Yeah.
600,000.
so that song I sent you and Trent that I was like working on that day you guys came up.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Short song. I just cut that with Jody like a week
I saw
ago.
you did like a reel or something.
Yeah,
story or something.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna like play it, you know, or I didn't even think I was gonna post it. But I had another friend that passed away, and it was just kind of like, I don't know. It felt like it was just a good time to share it, and I've had so many people reach out, like, you know, I had somebody share this with me because this, you know, they said this is how I've been feeling, or somebody, you know, was like, my wife said this, you need to listen to this because this, you know, this speaks to me. And yeah, I had enough of a response where I was like, all right, I need to cut it. So, you know, we cut it with Jody, and it's getting mixed and mastered right now. And so probably going to be the next thing I release is that song, which was totally like, wrote it, didn't think I was going to, you know, it's one of those, that's just for me, but it's what I'm working on right now. But I'm really stoked with how it turned out with Jody at the studio. And so, I'm pretty excited to put it out.
My next release is a weird one.
Yeah.
Because I didn't write it. I didn't do anything with it. Basically, a guy came in and he wrote this song, and he owns a knife company. And
Like some of these knives?
see the big one? Nope, not the sword.
Not the sword.
That one.
This one?
Pull that one out. Just yank it. See how it's
Nice.
got- yeah. So I got those, and I got.
So what do you do with this?
I don't know. He's like a self-defense dude, but that's not his main. His main one is pocket knives. He's got pocket knives, and I'll show
Look
you.
how thick that blade is.
Yeah, dude, you can mess somebody up with that thing.
Oh my gosh.
But he wrote this song called "Don't Tread on Me," and it's
Yeah.
not really a political left versus right. It's just kind of more of a self-reliance kind of song, and it's not something I ever would have written or ever would have wrote, but I thought it was kind of cool. And then seeing this guy's passion for the song was like, I've got to do this for him. And so
you look like a sheik, you know, like you look like you're wearing like you have a turban on there. This thing has some heft to it.
yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll show you the pocket knives too. I got a couple of them left.
This is probably his version of a pocket knife.
No, that's just I forget what that's called. He's got that, and he's got some hand spears.
Goes on your belt. I mean,
Yeah.
you could go out hog hunting with this, you know, with the dogs, and then this is what you finish the hogs
Rambo
off.
style.
Yeah.
Jump out of a top.
I mean,
of a
that's
tree.
nice. That got a little bit of paracord there to keep it there.
Yeah.
So your hand doesn't slip. I mean, this is serious business.
Yeah, I'll jack you up. But the pocket knives are badass. I'll show those to you when I get done. A lot.
Do you
of
like
those,
knives? Like you collect knives?
I don't really collect them, but it's starting to become a thing.
It's just, yeah.
My brother gave me a couple of those, and then that one right there, that's like a hand-built Nick's knife.
Yeah.
And I was and he donated that knife for a benefit I was playing, and a guy bought the knife for like $500 or $600, and then at the end of the night he gave me that knife. He's like, "Here, keep it. I don't want it."
That's cool.
He gave me the knife.
Yeah. That's got a cool blade on it.
Yeah. Is this gonna get us de-YouTubed?
Is this? Oh, is this what happens if you have weapons on it?
I don't give a fuck.
You just cut this out. Oh, definitely red, white, and blue knife. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's too America for.
What
for
if you say? What if I say that I've actually? What if we say those knives have been used to do transgender surgeries?
Yeah, these knives have helped undocumented immigrants from across.
That little
and come
pocket knife,
across-
my kid found that outside the Opry. We were up in Nashville, and we were taking a picture near one of the statues, and whatever. And he sat down, and he sat on it, and he's like, "Somebody's knife."
This?
Yeah,
It's got this musk on. That's cool.
yeah. So that's from Tennessee.
That's cool.
I mean, what do you do? Like, I was like, well, first we should probably turn it in, but then I'm like,
Yeah. No.
it's Nashville. I mean, what?
Yeah. That dude's probably got 4 more in his truck.
That right there, that knife has been through. That was my everyday carrier for a long time.
Yeah.
I got it. I was in a wedding one time, and a buddy gave it to me. And Spyderco makes pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
That one's skinned some animals, for sure. One thing I was gonna tell you. I'm allergic to white-tailed deer hair.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, dude. If I skin a deer, man, I look like I got in a fight with Rocky, bro. I'm not
Just
kidding.
whitetails, though?
Yeah, just whitetail. Not. I mean, I've never been around an elk while it was being skinned, but like, But like, I've done mule deer, done squirrel.
That's crazy.
Even though squirrel and whitetail are kind of very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Allergic. Like, I'm talking about poof. Can't see nothing.
Yeah, I'm allergic to. I was allergic to dust mites as a kid, and like some cats, and then I kind of like grown out of that.
Yeah.
Some shellfish, like it's weird. Like if I'll eat some shrimp, I'm fine. Then some shrimp, my throat will swell up.
Really?
But
I don't have any other allergies except for white-tailed deer hair.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's weird. I've never heard that in my life.
Me neither. But we went down and had an allergy test done and everything, and it came back, and I was allergic to a couple other like types of grass and that kind of stuff. But like goat weed, I'm allergic to goat weed.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's allergic to goat weed, especially if you've ever been out to like Buffalo area where we grew up deer hunting, and you gotta mow those fields and shit. That you know what I'm talking about, like goat weed stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, so
Yeah.
gross. It just gets everywhere. That and that's it. White-tailed deer hair, goat weed, some different grasses, but those weren't bad. The white-tailed deer, I just poof.
That's weird. I've never heard that.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I'm weird. I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
I know you're not supposed to cuss.
Well, no, it's just your platform. You do
No,
what you
I know,
want.
man.
Yeah.
But what I try to do is I try to put the respect where it is. If I got somebody, I got Chris Cunningham in here, we're gonna go to town, or Bubba Wesley.
I love Chris, by the way, man. Like,
Me too.
he good dude, but like also just his songwriting, man. Like
We wrote one last time
I
he was
listened
down.
to. I was about to say the one you guys wrote. I listened to you play it, and I mean, the way he kind of sets up a hook, like he does a phenomenal job with it. Like he's got my respect as a songwriter for sure.
Yeah, he's great.
Do you ever? So one of my things that I do on TikTok is I'm the commissioner against cliche country music, and like I ban certain phrases. Like you can't say Dixie cups anymore. You can't say moonlight. You can't say long tan legs. Like, like all the stuff that's like, you can't be drinking moonshine on a Friday night, just the stuff that's just been overplayed and it's no longer an original thing to say.
Yeah.
Like you're not allowed to say that. And it's kind of bled into some of my songwriting too with when you get with other people. 'Cause sometimes I feels like if you're in a group of 2 or 3 songwriters, sometimes they just go to the easiest line to say, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, like we gotta, like we can say that, but we have to say it differently than that. We can't just copy and paste this line from all these 2010 songs that we've heard and put it in this song and then say like this is our song, because it's just like but I sometimes retard the entire operation because we can't really fit a line, or it's just hard to like rework a line. And so I've stalled outrights because I've tried to like stay away from cliche or just overwritten lines.
I don't think about it. I just don't like when it depends on if I'm writing by myself. I don't think about it. But like with Chris, dude, that's that night. Like him and I, that's how we realized we could write really well together, because it was like, nah, you can do better than that.
Good. Yeah.
And then the next line, he would be like, nah, you can do better than that.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of how it came through.
That's great.
But also sometimes the best thing is just go with that easy line and let it breathe, and
Until you come back to it.
And you might
Yeah.
hear it for the next week or two and be like, nah, man, that's great. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Back to Texas, I wrote that entire song in like 5 minutes, and the only line I had the word ass in it. That came out. And the only line I changed, I used to say outrun the cops to Dallas.
Okay.
And I hate Dallas so bad that I didn't want to use that city in a
You want to get a song that kind of.
I'm just kidding. I don't hate Dallas. I just, I'm from Houston,
Yeah.
and there's a rift.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so now I changed it to outrun the cops to Red River, but I thought that
Nice.
played
Yeah,
better
that's-
anyway.
Yeah.
And but man, for the most part, now I'm not a huge fan of being simple about things.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of just saying it just to say it, or doing a filler line. I think I can always do something better, but a lot of times I'm just like, all right, that's good. Let's move on, and I'll come back to it. And a lot of times what'll happen is that one line will make me abort the whole song, and then I just throw the lyrics in the bone pile, and then I'll come back and pick from those for future songs.
It's funny you call it the bone pile. I like that, because that's a thing. Where do you write mostly, like voice memos, or do you have like notes, or do you have a book?
So I write in silence. I don't write with a guitar.
Really?
No, I don't write with any musical instrument anymore. Everything I write is just in total silence. I have
lyrics and melody in your head.
Yep. I have a key signature, or I have a time signature in my head, and I have a melody in my head, or I have an idea in my head, and I just go start writing. And then what I'll do is, after I get the song done, pretty much 100% done, I'll pull out the guitar, and then I'll start going through the song.
Every song's that way.
Yeah, because what I found is I'm not a strong enough guitar player to get everything I want to do.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is I'll start writing the song guitar, and then the melody and the songs will go wherever I can go on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas what I found out now, if I do it from the other part, then it's way easier for me to get the guitar to do what I want it to do for the melody than it is the other way around.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it works for me. But
yeah,
it's just different for everybody. But if I'm in a
Chris
song,
adapted that all right? Like when you guys
when him and I wrote, I had the first little word written in the riff.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we wrote the rest of the song. No, we wrote with the guitar that night. If I'm on a write, it's a little bit different because you have that other person to bounce things off. But if I'm by myself, I'm just like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
Almost every single song that I've written by myself and released, I wrote just 100% in silence. Now, a lot of times I'll go back and change.
Crazy. I've never heard that. Like,
yeah.
Except from like Lil Wayne and Jay-Z, where they're just in their brain, just whatever, and then they just step up the mic and just flow whatever, you know, like whatever it is. But like, I haven't heard somebody not working through it on a guitar as they're writing it. I mean, I've ridden down the road driving and just come up with a melody, started singing whatever, and like started writing a song. But I almost immediately have to pull over to the side of the road and get a guitar out and start working it.
Yeah, I don't.
And I don't have any like certain way that I do it. Like, people ask, well, how do you write songs? And I'm just like, sometimes just the concept comes up. Sometimes the hook comes. Sometimes I'll be playing and I'll have this riff and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just fit words to the riff. And then I find out what I'm writing about later, and
that does happen every now and then.
Yeah. Okay.
I wrote one last night. I started writing one last night and I came up with the riff first and then I started writing to it. But it just seems to me like when I do it the other way, the songs have much more depth because I'm not focusing at all on the guitar, at all on the music. I'm only focusing on the message of the song. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
I don't think there is. But I've run into some people where it's like, well, they have to have the chorus and the hook done before they can move on to the verse and see and I'm just like, well, all right.
It's easier that way.
I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah, if you have the hook, it's way easier to write a song. What's funny about that song, the Getting Old song, that song started with a, hey, little mama, take me as I am. I don't think that I can change this man for you. That's what we started with. There was no hook. And the next line, I sang it. He's like, man, I really like that. There was no chorus.
Right.
And a lot of times I'll screw myself because I will write such a strong first verse with no chorus or no hook. And then I got to create the hook, but it's not
as good as the first line. Yeah.
So a lot of times I bury it.
Or like, I mean, I've had to like take a verse that was too good and move it to the chorus, it was just like, well, this is so strong and it really, I don't think there's like a right or wrong. But it's interesting when you find people who have a process that's like, that's different, that's something that I haven't heard before. But, there are some people that's like, they can't write unless it happens this way for them. And then there's some people that are, most people are probably flexible in certain ways. But I never really, when people ask how I write a song, it's like, man, it comes every which way, And
I mean, like right now, if you were to challenge me, right? Like, let's say we were in a songwriting group or whatever, and one of those you have to do a song a week or whatever.
Yeah.
If you were to challenge me and say, hey, okay, 4 of us, we have to write a song about a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I could spit out a song about a cell phone in no time.
Right.
Like I can just do that, but it's not. I can't get to that. I mean, my songs.
You could write a song, but like, can you write a good song? Right? Like people like
it'll be good. Yeah. In as far as like Nashville's concerned,
right?
You know what I mean? But it's surface level,
right?
to me, to get to like the really good in depth, because I mean, almost every song I release has a message,
Right.
a very strong message. I mean, I'm Here is one of the like most deep songs I've ever written in my life. And I have some new ones that I've written that are just like, man, God, how did I wrote that?
Yeah.
You ever do that where you write something, you're like, that came out of me?
Most of the time, it's my wife goes, "That's your song." Yeah. I'm like, "Play that one. Who's that by?" Oh, it's mine. That's your song.
Candace is always, every song is like, I don't really like it. But then after a few weeks of me playing it, then she's like, man, I really like that song. You know,
I do have some lines in songs where I'm like, you're like, I'll bring it up to her sometime, like, I kind of like how I wrote this song, you know, like, you like your music, but you also like, there's sometimes we're like, that I feel like that was one of my better lines, you know?
Yeah,
and
like
I'll bounce stuff off her.
The line in Monsters that said, sitting at a wishing well, wishing I had a little change.
Yeah, that's
like,
cool.
Think about how many levels are on that line. Like, yeah, you're at a wishing well, but you ain't got no money. You can't even afford to make a wish to get where you like. You just, and there's so many levels on that.
Yeah.
Or another one of my favorite lyrics is in I'm Here. It's I've opened up on closet. I've shown you the bones inside.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a deep line.
Yeah.
As opposed to other ways you can say it. That's why I'm a huge Isbell fan, because like he did that song Elephant about the elephant in the room without ever actually saying that term, and but you know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah,
that is so rad to me.
Yeah, and I I think like there's guys like Evan Felker that are kind of that way, where it's like the way he writes stuff. Like you go back and listen to it, and it's like I feel like he can describe a scene in ways with like things that are just like it paints it so perfectly, but I wouldn't think to talk about it.
Right.
You know, like there's I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it might be Tornado, but like there's like tan legs checkered from a folding chair. It's like, I know exactly what that is, and I can see it in my mind. And it's like, how do you fit that into a song? Like, how does he fit so much imagery into a song and still keep it within 3 to 4 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, and have a hook and talk about all the other stuff. And you know, he does that song after song where there's just lines where I'm like, dude, he just paints it so well, you know. And
Jordan
I
Nicks
love
is
that
that
stuff.
way.
Yeah,
Jordan Nicks. I don't know if you know him, but Jordan Nicks.
I know
is
who he
that
is.
way.
Yeah,
Dude, he has a song on his new record that just came out. It's called Happy Meal Mondays. Dude, I listened to it and I'm like, I would have never thought to equate a Happy Meal to what he like, the way he's describing what's going on.
Yeah,
it's just so, and it's so like heart wrenching, but it's like same thing, like checkered legs from a lawn chair. You know, like we've all done it. Those old school lawn chairs.
Yeah,
we've all seen it.
Yeah.
But it's like, why I would have never thought to put that in a song.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not even really a reason for it when you like look at the rest of the song, but he's just describing the scene, and you're like, and he fits it in there, and it fits and it works, and you're just like, man, how did he do that? Like, you know,
that's what hurts me to see the amount of people that listen to like Taylor Swift, even though she's a good songwriter.
She is,
but it's still surface level.
No, I disagree.
Maybe.
I disagree.
There are some songs, but for the most part, it's cotton candy bullshit.
Here's the thing: is I got a 13-year-old daughter now that listens to Taylor Swift. I'm second on her list. Like Taylor Swift is her first, right? So, like,
at least you're second.
Yeah, I'll
not
take
in the
it.
top 10 of
I'll
my
take
kids.
it. Well, my two boys are 12 and 10, and they request my stuff in the truck. Like, Dad, play Firebird, play 1845, play Ghost. And then after like 4 or 5 songs, she's like, can we play a Taylor Swift song now? I'm like, gosh, all right. But I mean, I've listened to some records and that's the stigma around her is like all the boyfriends, she picks the wrong guy, all that sort of stuff. But she's got lines. Like she's got.
Oh, I know she does. I mean, who was it? Ryan Adams recorded 1989 from start to finish.
I heard about it. I don't think I've listened to it.
It's great. It's and I'm not talking about that, but it's still not. It's still not.
If you listen to Shake It Off, you're gonna feel that way. But there are songs.
I actually like that song.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm just saying like it's there's nothing to it like lyrically, right? Yeah. I mean it's a feel good song, but like she's got lines and she can write emotion into a song. I mean,
I just can't hear it. I just can't.
You have to get into it. And I felt this way about Zach Bryan. I hate to bring him up in another podcast or something. But,
I love him.
Okay, well, I know people talk about him, but you know, at first when you first hear Zach Bryan, you're like, he sounds like any other dude that played guitar while I was in college. Like, you know, his voice isn't like anything special. The guitar playing, the production, it's all simple, you know. And so you're kind of like, what's happening here? But then you listen to it,
right?
And then you get into what he's saying and how he's saying it.
That's my point.
And you're like, dude, this guy's got lines, you know, and you know, understandably, if you don't get into Taylor Swift, like you're going to feel the same way that like I did about Zach Bryan when I first heard him. Like, now this many people like him. What am I missing? So I had to like dive into Zach Bryan and like listen to records like end to end and be like,
but he's got,
and rewind. I got to hear that again.
I meant by depth. That's what I meant by depth.
Yeah.
If you take Zach Bryan's depth versus Taylor Swift's depth, they're not in the same atmosphere.
I would think like,
in my opinion.
Nah, I mean, it's.
Or like Morgan Wallen. Take Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
If he put out that 36-song record, bro, there's not a single redeeming, in-depth, non-surface level song on that whole album.
I don't think I've listened to that whole album, but I would agree with you. And I think, you know, Taylor's very multifaceted in that. And again, I'm not trying to like, I don't consider myself a Taylor Swift fan, but I respect it. And I know my daughter loves it. But like when I hear songs and there's stuff that I really like from her where I'm like, okay, like that was freaking good. But Zach Bryan is, you know, every song that he puts out is a in-depth song. He doesn't really have a song that is like a shake it off, just feel good radio made song.
Right.
You know, and people consume every last word of every song. And they yell it back to him at every concert. Yeah, that's a different level.
Tanner Usray, Drayton Farley, Charles Wesley Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, you got some of these guys, man. Even more on the pop country side, Riley Green.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of these songs, man, are just so well. And Stapleton, you know, he's just got. I mean, I'm not saying he wrote everything, but like some of the stuff that he's got.
Stapleton probably did.
No, there's a lot of songs he did. I mean, Morgan Wallen actually wrote one of his biggest hits, and it's a great song.
Yeah.
And listen, I got respect for anybody that does this. I got respect for anybody that takes an idea, shoves it through their brain hole, makes it come out their arm and out their mouth, and they create a song out of nothing. So I'm not really knocking on Taylor Swift. I'm just talking about to me, there's no depth in her writing. I'm not saying she doesn't write good songs. I'm not saying she's not catchy. That's just to me because
I'm going to be sending you songs now. Here, listen to this Taylor Swift song.
Just because I'm a very lyrical,
I know, but
in-depth person. Like John Moreland's my favorite songwriter, and I don't know if you know who that is, but man, you're talking about imagery, bro.
Yeah,
for days.
Well, I'll have to check him out. Yeah,
and so. But that's the beautiful thing about music.
Right, yeah.
It's like food. It's so subjective.
Yeah.
It's so subjective. Some people just like to tap their foot. Some people don't like to overthink things.
Yeah, that's the truth. Is like, I mean, a lot of places we play, they don't want to hear the depth that we have to offer in our songs. They just want to hear something they've heard a million times before.
Candace hates riding with me in the car because I'm like listening to, like I said, Tanner Usray,
right,
and what's Nolan Taylor and those dudes, like all these people and or Chris Cunningham, and I'm listening to that when I'm driving, and she's just like, I don't want to be sad.
Right,
I mean, it's not necessarily sad.
Right.
It's a slower song, but it's not sad. Like, listen to it, you know. And she's like, no, I want to listen to Motley Crue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I don't want to think right now. I want to feel.
Yeah.
I want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, I can talk all day.
Right.
I never know when to shut these things off.
I know.
So I'm pretty sure you're probably ready to get out of here pretty soon. So.
Yeah, we got to do some sound check here.
Sound check. I might come up there. I got to figure out what the plan is with the old lady. I bought $50 worth of bone-in ribeyes 2 nights ago, and they're at her house. She's gonna cook them, and I'm like, when are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
And I'm afraid they're gonna go to waste if I don't make that happen.
Yeah.
I can store them in the freezer, but I want them now.
I hear you.
I bought them fresh. I want them now.
Yeah.
So, dude, y'all have a good show tonight, man.
I appreciate it.
Have you been to that room yet?
Yeah, so I went once, and it's kind of funny that somebody booked it for me, and they called it like it's for the Pass the Boot night.
Yeah.
And like I thought it was a firefighter thing, because like the firefighters fundraiser thing is always
right,
the boot, like pass the boot, and I was like, oh, like God, I've done events and all this stuff. It's so like
pass the boot for the tips.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and I thought it was like a firefighter thing, so I was like, all right, cool, and I didn't really like promote for it too much because I thought it was like kind of a. I showed up, dude. There was like 3 people there.
There is no built-in.
And I was like, oops.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, all right. So I mean, hopefully tonight's better than last time because I didn't promote for it last time. I thought I was doing like some sort of other thing event. But
Are you driving back tonight?
I think so. It depends on how long I hang out afterwards. I mean, I got some friends showing up and stuff that I need to catch up with. But
Have you been to the Big Barn?
I've not.
Dude.
I want to go and check it out. Actually, somebody told me like I need to go see it.
Unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
hands down my favorite place to play.
I want to get there one day. I've heard it's the best listening room in the state.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's definitely up there. I hear the Redbird's really good, but the Redbird's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be interesting to go around and do listening rooms and see which one's the best. It's great because they got a nice PA.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at in that building. It sounds
Like you
great.
can hear it. That's cool.
But the bad thing about it is you hear every conversation when you're on stage.
Really.
So if there is a table that's
So if
talking,
it's not listening, then
and on my live record, I actually went off on a table. Not even kidding. And we left it on the record. I was going to cut it, but Chad Prather was like, you can't cut that. You got to leave it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I tried everything I could do to not go off on them. But man, we promoted this thing as a live album recording for months.
Yeah.
And they just wouldn't shut up. And I just had to,
Hey.
politely tell them, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Hey. Don't want my record to be you guys yapping the whole time.
Yeah, man. And it was great because that won the crowd over. And then they actually stayed. They didn't leave. They stayed, but they didn't say a word the whole time, dude.
Yeah.
It was quiet. Matter of fact, Charlie walked in. He wasn't there at the beginning. Charlie Diggs. He came in like halfway through the show, and he was like, he went up to Chad. He sat with Chad, and he was like, I've never heard it this quiet in here. And Chad Prather was like, well, that's because your boy just went off on the crowd. and then nobody would like, yeah.
What have you ever had like an incident in the crowd? Like just like I'm sure you're not confrontational at all. But like where
I am
things kind of got weird.
I'm
like,
in a good way though. BC was
Yeah.
talking about that earlier. He was here, my buddy BC, and he was like, dude, you're the kind of guy that will see somebody and basically feed them a shit sandwich, but then go be like, I'm just kidding, I love you.
Right.
And then you win them over, but you also win the rest of the crowd over. I'm really not that confrontational. I say what's on my mind, but I don't ever do it in like out of malice.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I try to do it with with intent and comedy most of the time if I'm on stage.
Yeah.
This is why I hate Dallas Cowboy fans. And I used to think I just
aside from them just being Dallas Cowboys fans.
Well, I used to think I just hated Dallas Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
And I don't now. What I hate Dallas Cowboys fans that live in Houston. They're unbearable. Dude, so we play Fight for Your Right, and I've done this song for years and years and years. And back when I had a band called the Elroys, it was a cover band, we used to say instead of Beastie Boys, we're the Elroys. Well, when I stopped doing the Elroys, and I was like, man, I got to figure something else to say there because I didn't want to say we're the Beastie Boys, you know? So I started saying, fuck the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I'll do that joke here, and almost every time somebody's ready to fight. I do that song.
Over that?
I do that song in Dallas. I do that same thing in Dallas, and
They just
everybody
laugh.
cheers and laughs and is part of it.
Yeah. I say over the mic all the time in Dallas, I'm like, one of my greatest accomplishments so far is that both my boys they don't like the Dallas Cowboys. Like that's like, and it's hard living in Dallas. I mean, the Rangers just won the World Series,
Yeah.
like we're in Astros house, and I'm like trying, last thing I need is for them to love the Dallas Cowboys, so far, like I've been pulling that off, and I'll say over the mic and people laugh all the time. I've had some people go like, it goes quiet. I'm just like, jokes, people. I mean, I'm serious, but like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You're really
So-
good about that, too. I'm really good about that, too. I mean, I'm not really that confrontational as what you think I might be. I definitely just say what's on my mind. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. And even online, there was an issue last week on my birthday. I posted a thing with my Venmo and stuff saying it's my birthday. If everybody sends me $1, and the Stephen Eddy dude gets on there and just starts telling me I'm begging, and I kind of defended him multiple times.
Yeah.
But other people were not so nice to him.
Yeah.
Well, then since then he's come on like 3 or 4 of my posts and just been like a real shithead. And so yesterday
I saw that about you deleting somebody or blocking
well, so
somebody.
basically what happened, he come on my page acting like this, and so
Yeah.
I just let him have it. I mean, I just basically called him a miserable piece of crap.
Yeah.
Well, then he reported that comment to Facebook. So Facebook took that comment, and once you cross that line,
Yeah.
like if you want to have fun together, we can have fun. I don't take
Right.
any of that personally. But if you're gonna come in and act like that, and then you're gonna comment, you're gonna report my response. And then, I mean, it was bad. My response was bad, but man, that's just that to me. You can't do that. Like, you can't troll somebody and then get mad about their reaction.
Right. Yeah.
That's stupid.
I actually had a pretty funny reaction. Like I posted this thing, this video about somebody posted this thing about how Texas used to be, Mexico in 1840. But she said this is a map of Texas in 1846 or Mexico. All this was Mexico, and this is the United States. I'm like 1846. I'm like, oh, we'd already like had our independence. Like 1845, we got annexed. But I'm like, I shouldn't respond to this, but I did. And so I posted something just in response to that video, and I've had it up for a couple of years, and just people still get on there and go back and forth. And just the other day, this guy gets on and he's like, oh, there's a lot of like white pilgrims on here that are trying to teach us about like our ancestry here, and they should just stick to their European ancestry and leave like the real history to us, American history to us indigenous people. And he had a Mexican flag and he had a Palestinian flag in his thing. And I was like, says the guy who's flying a Mexican flag and a pilgrim flag, right? So I'm like poking the bear. And he's like, well, says the guy that looks like Elmer Fudd wearing Trump on his whitey tighties, let's go hunt some wabbits looking guy. And I'm like, says,
pretty good, actually.
Oh, it's so funny, dude. I'm actually gonna do a post about these comments because it was just he was actually really good, and
I love that.
I love it. I love the trash talk and stuff, and it's like, I love people that can dish it and take it and like still be cool.
Yeah,
we haven't reached the point yet where we're cool. Like, and I'm trying. Like, I try to follow them. I'm like, dude, you're my kind of people,
Yeah. Oh, that's when someone gets me, I will literally go on there and give them a comment. Like, that is the way to bust balls,
dude.
That's how you do it.
It was so funny. Like, and I was like, says the Antojitos eating Cholo Suge Knight looking guy. All he's got is like this beard, and he looks like a Cholo Suge Knight, And he says, and this is the one I died at this one. Says the fentanyl tweaking dollar store version of Tim McGraw, and like, for you dying, dude. Like, it's so funny. And I'm like, says the real indigenous mestizo guy that doesn't know his DNA is 30% white European, because Mexicans don't have a Mexican DNA. Like, they're actually Spanish, European white Spanish,
right?
And a mix of, mestizo or Mayan or Aztec or whatever they call them, mestizos. But like,
right.
Actually, Mexican DNA is 20 to 40% white European, and but it's like we're just taking jabs at each other back and forth, and it just kept going back and forth, and it was just, dude, I was like, this is beautiful, and so it got to a point where his last comment was like, that wasn't your best, but I'm kind of running out too. Like, I try to follow you so I can get some more dirt on you, but you're not requesting, you're not following me back. So like, follow me back so I can get some more dirt on you. We can keep this going, but like, I'm like, you're my kind of people.
He's
like,
probably having fun with it too.
I hope he is. Like, I hope it's like we're having fun with it, because like I thought like his stuff was great, and I'm like, dude, I want more of this. Like, I want this to keep going.
Yeah.
And I hope that we could do this and have our differences and have a good laugh and then be cool at the end of it, because I love this sort of stuff. I mean, some of the stuff he said was so funny. I'm still laughing about it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I need to get on there. What you got to show me the post. So
I'll send it to you.
Maybe I'll go on there and throw a line.
Dude, it's so funny. Scared.
Yeah, I like that too, man. I really like it when there's good back and forth.
Yeah.
But what I don't like is I just don't like it when somebody gets really upset and starts lashing out at folks or what also what I don't like is I don't like it when somebody disagrees with me on a post and then my fans go in and just rail on dude. I don't like that either, man. And a lot of times I'll be like, no. Like, he's like, even that Stephen Eddy guy, I was like, no, he's welcome to that opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. I can understand why somebody would see it as me begging, but you also don't know you say you're a guitar player, but you don't know the music business,
right?
Because every musician out there that's doing this gets money from somewhere. Yeah. We all get money from sponsorships or whatever. I mean, we're all begging. We all want money. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if you are or not, but I know.
Oh yeah.
I know all of us money.
Yeah.
So that was one that, and I'm not gonna really block anybody until it just gets out of control, where it's just toxicity. Right. That's not toxic. No. That is just really two witty people going at it. Even if they believe 100% what they're saying. Right. It's two very, very witty people going at it.
Yeah. And like, I recognize that in him. Like, I want to hang out with this dude now. Like, I don't know where he lives or where he's from, but it's like, he's obviously smart. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously from our generation because he referenced Elmer Fudd. I thought I was more like a, Yosemite Sam rootin' tootin' kind of looking guy, but whatever. Like
Elmer Fudd's pretty funny.
Elmer Fudd's funny, but it's like, man, props. And it was funny. It's like, I hope that, people like, those are the kind of people I like. If you're going to disagree with me like that, or have like a really intelligent response. But like the people that are just, I'll tell you who was like really terrible. It was the Rangers fans. I mean, I posted a lot of Astros TikTok stuff, when we went down 0-2, and I was like, that's cool. We're going to be up 3-2. Like, cause we just own them at Globe Life. And then after we went up 3-2, and they're like, well, that's it. You guys won. I'm like, no, like we've been terrible at home. Like you guys still have a chance. Like it was very realistic, but there was a lot of trash talk happening. But there was just some dudes that just came in, and I mean, they were just like, everybody hates the Astros now anyways, because of 2017 and the cheating scandal and stuff.
Stupid.
Yeah. But it's like, all right, we need to turn a page on this. But I mean, I've had just some absolutely nasty things from Rangers fans. And, after that, I was like, well, we lost. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
They're like, you're from Texas. You have to go for a Texas team. I'm like, no, we're division rivals. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to jump on the Ranger bandwagon fan.
Yeah, I'm not going to root for the Cowboys.
No.
The only time I root for the Cowboys is if they're playing an AFC team.
I mean, yeah.
If the Cowboys are playing an AFC team, I root for them. That's 4 games a year.
Okay.
That's it.
It's fair.
And I'll root for them because, especially if it's a division rival, but even if
Yeah.
it's not, because that affects our playoff seed.
Yeah.
And so if they beat an AFC team, and that, then that's awesome. I root for them every time. I mean, when they Miami beat them, I was rooting for them when they played Miami, because at that time where we were trying to get into that 4th seed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm the same way, man. Sports is one of those things that I've always been into it. I kind of took a break in 2020, 21, and 22.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, I can't deal with this just because of COVID and all the shit. And I had so much crap going on. But now, back whenever the Texans hired D'Amico Ryans and they got rid of Jack Easterby, I was like, I'm all back in. And then they got Stroud, and I'm like, and now
I retired from being a Texans fan.
I'm back.
Like, yeah, I'm back too, but I literally was like, I can't devote any more emotional energy to this team, this organization, like Bill O'Brien and shipping players away and just what he's getting. I was just like, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like until they win me back, I don't give a crud about the the Houston Texans. And
that's not me being a bandwagon fan,
I'm
too, because
not.
I was there through all the crap.
They earned that crap.
Man.
Like, they earned us not rooting for them because of how bad they were running that organization. Is like, you don't deserve my fandom when you guys are just terrible, like just
and not even trying.
It was so
bad. You literally traded
DeAndre Hopkins
for a
running
running back.
Yeah, I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, so
it was unbelievably bad because even like Astros, even in their down years, they were still doing everything they could do to get that organization back. They knew that they had to tank for 3-4 years. They knew they had to build the organization the right way, and they did. They built it the right way, and that's why it's just a monster. It's a dynasty.
And they've let great players walk, and not given them the big contracts, but they've filled the spots, and they've continued to win. Like,
because they're farm system.
After like the 4th, 5th year, I'm like, this is probably our last year being good, and then 6th year, we're still good. 7th year in the ALCS, you're like.
And we're going to be good again this year.
I mean, we are, and it's just like, well, when are we going to fall off? Like, you think we're going to, and at some point we will.
I don't think the Rangers are even going to make the playoffs.
That'll be interesting.
I have a $100 bet on it.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, they'll make the playoffs. They're going to be good. Who do you think? You think Seattle will be better than them?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, we barely freaking. I don't know.
But we did.
It'll be tight. Yeah.
But we did, but that's just the thing, man. I love sports. I like but the one thing I like about sports is I like the crap talking.
Yeah, I love it.
So if we're crap talking with each other, let's just crap talk. But we don't have to go violent. I went to that Texans game here one year, and there were 3 people stabbed out for Texans and Cowboys game, and I took my kid, and we were walking to, I think the Cowboys won, if I remember correctly, or maybe we won, and Texans fans were acting like total D-bags and getting in fights with Cowboys fans, and 3 people were stabbed outside the stadium, and it's like, y'all, that's stupid.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the Cowboys, but I'm not going to fight anybody over it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get in a physical fight because of anything I'm a fan of.
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
On a whole new level.
Yep.
That's just dumb. And so, whatever. And so I'm really glad the Texans did did all those things the last couple years at least. I know that when they went to David Culley, and then I knew what they were doing. I knew it was a placeholder. The one thing that kind of agitated me is that next year they kept Easterby on, and they kept Lovie Smith on as the head coach, and I was like, I can't even.
Yeah.
But then when they hired D'Amico Ryans, I was like, okay. And then when they drafted Stroud, and then they traded up. Then I'm like, I'm back in.
Hey.
So I didn't wait till they started winning.
Conspiracy theory.
All right.
There's that rumor that went around that like CJ Stroud like got an 18 on that QB test or whatever, and
Yeah, I
like,
think he did. I think it was
is
pretty
that
bad.
is that true, or is that just something people threw out there so he would drop the 2?
No, I think it was. Yeah. No, there was no way he was going to 1. There was no way ever.
Yeah.
No,
You don't think so?
No. What's his name had that sewed up for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we really want a Stroud. Like that's something I would float. You'd be like, oh yeah, he's stupid.
Yeah, I was mad when the Texans lost that
Yeah.
that game against the Colts. I mean, when the Texans won that game against the Colts and made them 2 and whatever instead of 1 and whatever. I was mad because I'm like, yeah, they even messed that up.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you even messed up tanking.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
But man, whenever they drafted Stroud, I was like, hey, this is cool. But what impressed me more than that was the fact that they were able to move up in the draft to get Will Anderson.
There's so money.
And I was like, man,
Yeah.
like these
And
guys
that
like,
paid off immediately.
like Nick Caserio is not messing around,
Yeah.
bro. And then they went out and they got, whenever they hired D'Amico Ryans, and I was like, this is really, really cool. I was really nervous about having Slowick call plays for the first season. That I didn't want a rookie head coach with a rookie quarterback and a rookie offensive coordinator.
Right.
I just didn't want that. But man, you talking about catching lightning in a bottle, bro.
Yeah.
I hope that D'Amico set Slowick down at the beginning of the season and said, dude, give me 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's going to happen is what happens to all these teams. That's why you don't have dynasties in football anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Slowick's going to get a head coaching opportunity somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's going to move and he's going to go to a head coach. He's going to be a shitty head coach
Right. Yeah.
like everybody else does. And we're going to have to, and CJ Stroud's going to be under yet another offensive coordinator. It just depends on what happens. And D'Amico's a defensive coach.
Yeah.
That scares me. It does scare me because I'm like, so if Slowick is here next year and we have Stroud back and Slowick's together, then I think we could be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But I think if Slowick leaves to be a head coach somewhere, I think we're gonna be right back to square one.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, I think we're still gonna be good.
Yeah.
Because I think D'Amico's defenses are just gonna be good,
Yeah. And CJ Stroud's a freaking
and CJ
animal.
Stroud's just amazing.
Yeah.
But how much of that is with Slowick? You know
That's
what
true.
I mean? That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But he's definitely a beast. I mean, look at what we were able to do with Case and
we weren't supposed to be as far as we were.
No.
Like,
house money, bro.
Nobody expected that. So I mean, it was, and to beat the Browns with their own picks, that was great.
Yeah, that was really cool too.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and I like to see Joe Flacco lose. I always have. Ever since we got rid of Jacoby Jones and he went to Baltimore,
Rough, yeah.
and then they won a Super Bowl with
Yeah.
that kick return he did. I was just like, oh, I hated Baltimore since then.
Yeah, my wife's from Maryland, so the Ravens are, and I like so when we lost the Oilers, and I was a Niners fan from like
Me too.
real young. I mean Montana, Rice, Taylor, on to Steve Young, Garrison Hurst, all that, and so I've always been a Niners fan, and it was easier when the Oilers left and we didn't have anybody in Houston for a while, but yeah, her Ravens beat my Niners in the Super Bowl, and that was kind of rough. And now it looks like they're back on a collision course again to the Super Bowl. It's like I don't know if anybody's going to beat the Ravens this year.
Yeah, they're pretty good, man. I'm rooting for Detroit. And the only reason I'm rooting for Detroit because they've never been there,
Right.
and also Candace is from Detroit.
Yeah.
She doesn't really care about football.
There's a
But I
lot of
also
people rooting
think
for
it'd be
Detroit.
really cool that Michigan won the
Right?
and then to let them win the
I don't know if they're going to
I don't think
good
they can.
enough for the Super Bowl.
I think
but
they could beat the 49ers.
I think they could. Yeah, the Niners have shown some vulnerability, so I think it'll be a good game.
Well, I just don't
you
think
know?
Brock Purdy. I mean, listen. I think it's cool what he's done being Mr. Irrelevant. I think it's very cool that he's been able to succeed. I just don't think he's elite enough of a quarterback to do what they need to do. Kyle Shanahan I've always been a fan of him. I mean, look what he did with Matt Schaub back under Kubiak.
Sure.
I mean, Matt Schaub was one of the best quarterbacks in the league for 2 years. Matt Schaub.
Yeah.
So I think Brock Purdy's playing above due to Kyle Shanahan's system, but I just don't think he's got it. whenever I look at who's the quarterbacks that are still in there, and you got Mahomes, and you got Jackson, and you got Goff is playing out of his mind.
Really well. Yeah.
I just Purdy's just not in that level to me.
So, I'm full disclosure. I'm a Utah Ute, right? So Alex Smith, #1 overall to the Niners. Like I was always an Alex Smith fan, rooting for him.
Me too.
And then when Kaepernick came along, Smith got hurt, Kaepernick, and everybody was just fired like Kaepernick bandwagon immediately. And I was watching him, and you could tell that Kaepernick, he was a run first quarterback. He had a strong arm, but plays would break down. Nobody could contain him. But he couldn't read defenses. He'd get up there, look at the line, take too much time. We'd have 2 or all 3 timeouts burned by the half because he would get off late on plays. And the more I watched, I was like, I'm not a fan of Kaepernick. Everybody thought I was an idiot. Everybody was just, Kaepernick's the bomb. He's incredible. I was like, dude, he's surrounded by really good players, but he doesn't he's got a strong arm, but he breaks down. He's not a pure quarterback. He's not really making the throws, and he's new, so people haven't really learned how to contain him. As much of Alex Smith being a system quarterback or a ball game manager or whatever people called him, it's like he at least was he did his job and he ran the offense well, but he could make throws and he could read defenses, and he and his red zone passing was 85%, and there's just a lot of things that ended up coming back to hurt us in the Super Bowl. I could go on about it, but watching Purdy makes the throws. He's a quarterback first. He sits in there. He's had a bad game, 4 picks or whatever, but
Stroud has 2.
Stroud has 2, but
he had 3 in one game.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you can allot somebody like a bad game.
Dude,
but
that guy threw 5 interceptions all season, and 3 of them were in one game.
Yeah, so I think people are gonna have a bad game, and Purdy, 2 of those throws were the interceptions were deflections, you know. And so, and he made a boneheaded throw that should have been a pick last week and got away with it. But you watch him, and Purdy makes the throws, he makes the reads, and I think. Doesn't hurt that he's got all the weapons behind him, but I don't think he's like a Kaepernick situation where he's not what people think he is. I think Purdy's a quarterback.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the Purdy bandwagon, watching him, and I'm a Niners fan, but
I put Purdy where Goff was 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah,
that's where I
still has room to improve.
Yeah, I just don't think he's there.
If Purdy has room to improve, holy crap, dude!
I think if he stays in that system,
Yeah.
if they keep Kyle Shanahan and he stays in that system, I think he's going to be a great quarterback for his career. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 23 years old, 24 years old.
No, I think Purdy is the real deal. I mean, I think a lot of people said that about Tom Brady early on. Oh, he's the 6th round pick. He's lanky, he's slow, he's not mobile, blah, 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 blah. But then, dude, Tom Brady he read defenses, he made the throws. And, I'm seeing that with Purdy right now is he, and time will tell. Obviously, he's not won a Super Bowl, but, he's already run some late 4th quarter comebacks.
I think
good.
where I equate him, my thing is with him is it's okay. He went to the 49ers. He got in that system.
Sure.
Right? And that system is perfect for what he does.
Yeah.
If he goes to a team like the Texans, I don't think he could do what C.J. Stroud did. Right? I don't think he'd go and do what Lamar Jackson did in Baltimore. I don't think he can go to the Bills and do what Josh Allen did with the Bills. Do I think he fit in there and he's going to be a great quarterback? And I think eventually he, I 100%. I wouldn't say he's a crappy quarterback. I think he has potential. But I also think if Davis Mills, I seriously think if Davis Mills would have went to the 49ers and got brought up in that system, that Davis Mills would probably be right where Purdy is, or maybe a little below, maybe a little bit better. I don't know, because to me they both have kind of the same tools, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it sucks whenever you go into a system like Manziel. He reminds me a lot of Kaepernick. He came out, he had a lot of raw talent, but he didn't have the focus and couldn't actually play the position.
Sure, yeah.
But how many quarterbacks came into systems and just take who's the guy from Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So when Kirk Cousins that year, I really wanted the Texans to draft Kirk Cousins. I really wanted. They passed on him. They went with somebody else, and then that's when Redskins drafted both RG3 and Kirk Cousins the same year.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins went to Washington. He stayed there for the first 3 years of his career, and it was just a waste of time, you know. And then he left there and went to somewhere. But now that he's in a good system with a good defense and a good offensive line, he's playing great.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's elite, but he's definitely playing great. So it all depends on where you go and what you do.
The whole idea of just a system, and it like I almost don't even understand that, because it's like if it's just a system, getting the right system, like anybody could just go get the system. But I mean, you obviously got to get into a situation where you have a good line, you have some weapons, and like you don't screw it up, right? Like as far as a system go, I think Lamar Jackson, I think you make a point where like Lamar Jackson can go, and even if his offensive line sucks, like he can say
any
it with
team
his legs,
he's going to
right?
make it.
He's going to make it.
I think CJ Stroud's the same way.
So I think to a degree, like there are guys who can maybe rise above doing that, but also like he's not a system guy where like it's all check downs, you know, it's all five. He averages, more, you know,
but he went to a team.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't go to Arizona.
Yeah.
He didn't go to Jacksonville. He didn't go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
He didn't go to the Texans.
Yeah.
He didn't go to these joke of an organizations and get ruined.
Right.
Like Bryce Young's going to be.
Right.
Or like Anthony Richards is going to be. Or even the dude at Jacksonville. What's his name?
Trevor Young.
Trevor Lawrence. Like Trevor Lawrence is never going to do anything because of where he went.
Right.
You know, like Brock Purdy got lucky enough to be Mr. Irrelevant the last draft, but he went to the 49ers.
But I mean,
and then that GM, who's the GM of there?
Lynch.
That dude's a freaking genius, man.
He's smart.
Like, go after and get McCaffrey. Like, who would have thought to do that? Nobody.
But you put Lamar Jackson in Jaguars, and he still takes them to the playoffs?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like, does he go win Super Bowls like he's going to with the?
He may not win a Super Bowl, but I think he definitely would go in there and immediately turn that offense. Same thing with CJ Stroud. Look at CJ Stroud. He came in and he turned that whole offense around with no weapons. Sure. And I'm not saying that he's the end all be all. He may be a bust by the end of his career. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what he did this season was magical. And I think he could have went into any system and did that, as opposed to Brock Purdy. I think if Brock Purdy would have came to the Texans, he would not be near as successful as he is.
It's just interesting that
but who knows?
The 49ers shipped their first round draft pick for a 6th round guy. I can't remember his name, but he went down last year, and then Garoppolo went down, and then Purdy came in, and he went down in the last game of the playoffs. But like they saw enough between Garoppolo and whoever the first round draft pick was that was starting the whole year to go, we don't even want those two guys, the seasoned vet and their first round draft they spent all this money on.
Yeah.
They shipped both those dudes for Purdy.
But those are the good teams.
So they see something in him that was worth offloading two dudes that had more experience and they spent more money on, which is very hard. I mean, first round draft picks are gonna get more time and more leniency because they've already spent the money on them than a guy that's just 6th round. So if you're gonna come into the 6th round, like you got to step up and make a difference. You got to show.
He was 7th round.
Whichever.
Brock Purdy was the last
pick. Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant, whichever that is. But it's
the 32nd pick in the 7th round.
For him to be good enough and show that he's good enough for them to go, we don't even need these two guys.
Yeah.
And we're gonna and make him the guy. Like that I think that kind of shows like he's more than just a system dude. Like if that was the case, like Garoppolo could have just played a system and done good. He wasn't that great, honestly.
Yeah.
He wasn't that good. And then
he's never been good.
Their rookie wasn't that great. I can't remember his name, but
where did he go?
I don't know, but he didn't do well enough for them to say come back again next year. Purdy stepped into the same offense. Those other two dudes had a chance, and he elevated himself enough that by the end of the season they were like, "See you guys," and Purdy was the dude. So I think he's more than just stepping in. He's at least put himself in a situation where he's shown that he's got the goods better than just a system quarterback. And time's gonna tell. But again,
and I don't necessarily mean he's a system quarterback. Like to me, a system quarterback, like Joe Flacco was a system quarterback when he was in the Ravens. I just mean I don't think that Brock Purdy could go to a team that's not very good and make them good the way that Stroud did, the way that Lamar Jackson did, the way that even though Lamar Jackson, he's always had a team around him. But I mean, he's got a lot of weapons now.
Oh yeah. You can't deny that.
But even like Baker, like take Baker Mayfield.
I was about to bring him up.
Baker Mayfield goes to Tampa Bay. Dude, Tampa Bay has it's not even close. They got the best receiving core. Maybe not now because LA's got a pretty good receiving core. But like
Mike Evans,
Mike Evans and Godwin, and the new rookie they have, I can't remember his name, the tight end, whatever his name is. I mean, they just got he's got so many weapons to throw to. Any quarterback that went to that team would probably be somewhat successful. As opposed to, again, that's the difference between the 49ers fan and being a Texans fan, is like we shipped all of our talent out the last 5 years.
Yeah,
we let them go.
Rough.
All of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get C.J. Stroud did this with really no number one one target. You know what I mean?
And we got him a left tackle. That's like basically what we did.
We've had the left tackle.
Yeah, but
he's
we
been here
paid
like
him
4
to
years.
stay, Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Deshaun Watson was another one when he came in. Deshaun Watson's like a talent. He just lost focus.
Yeah. No, I think he was the real deal, but he just went off he likes massages.
Hey, bro, we could talk about this shit all day.
I know.
And if you want to keep talking, we can keep talking. But I kind of got to pee.
Yeah, me too.
And you got to get going.
Go.
You got a show. But
Thanks
for coming out, man. Hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another one too.
I like how we went like music and life and politics to sports analogy like that. Hey, it was all good.
Yeah. Well, maybe the listeners will like it. But if they don't like it, it's because of the guest, not because of me.
That's right.
That's got to be the rule.
Yeah, no, that's true. So if I don't get an ask back, then I know it was my fault.
Well, dude, man, keep killing it, man. I enjoy your stuff. I tell everybody about you. I'm always like, you got to check out Nate Burnham.
Yeah, thanks, man.
He's funny. Yeah, I mean, you like the total package, You got the vocals are good. The guitar playing's good. Everything. It's like total package stuff, man. So keep doing that. And you're positive about things, and I like your comedy relief. I like your style. You have your own style going on.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That,
so,
all
right, brother, y'all check out Nate Burnham. What's your website?
NateBurnham.com.
Nate Burnham.
BURNHAM. Burnham.
Burnham.
Yeah, but NateBurnham.com.
Burnham. Y'all go check him out. Follow him on TikTok, Instagram, all those things. He's a pretty funny fella. All right, dude. Peace out.
See y'all.
Don't be a butthole.